What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, and boy, do we have an action-packed stream for you guys today. So many segments to get through, so I guess we should probably get cracking, but we're going to be here a while.
Penultimate weekend of the season.
I know, man.
Crunch time, the business end.
Me, man. Don't even remind me. We're going to get into that West Ham Newcastle game, because that could be the most significant game from now to the end of the season. It really could.
I'm sure all Tottenham fans are going to be watching. It's going to be like a Spurs game, everyone watching it.
It's mad. It's mad. But, yeah, we've got so much to get through today. So let's just get cracking. And we're going to start off with the Tottenham update. And going to start off talking about Richarlison. Because ESPN Brazil have given some insight into potential transfer for Richarlison this summer. They're saying a verbal agreement is in place for Richarlison to leave at the end of the season for around £21.8 million. Flamengo are interested. Ben Jacobs is saying that Richarlison has had an excellent season, is drawing interest from Saudi Arabia, and Dom Solanke has formative interest too. And regardless of what happens with either of them, he expects Tottenham to attack the market for a number 9 and a new winger, if possible, this summer.
I do hear that every summer.
Yeah, no,
every
true.
window.
It's true. But in terms of Richarlison, 21.8 million. Yeah. Apparently there's some sort of agreement.
Yeah, with who? Just a verbal agreement.
I don't think there's an agreement with any club, but I think it's an agreement with Richarlison saying, well, if a bid comes in of this figure, we'll accept it.
That's nice. That'll get the transfer done. We agree with Rishi, yeah, you can go for 21.8 million. We have to get someone to pay that, though. We do realise that. I hope we realise that anyway. You can't just have an agreement with Richarlison and that deal's done.
I don't think it's a crazy figure. I think it's a pretty fair figure, to be honest.
Obviously, the injuries have really hampered him. We know that. And we signed him for 60 million. I thought it was 50 plus 10 million. I wonder if he's hit those 10 million add-ons probably at this point. He's been here for long enough. I think that's the figure we all kind of expected.
Daniel Levy, one of the things was winning the Champions League and winning the Premier League.
Golden Boot, 100%, all these kind of things. I think in this stage of his career, unfortunately, I think he is a good he can be, a good Premier League player. And to be fair, this season, he's probably been fit more than previous seasons, but he's still missed a fair chunk, hasn't he? I think you look at the numbers, he's only had, I think, 18 starts, and he's had the equivalent of like 25 or something, 90 minutes. So it's not like he's played tons and tons. And I think even this season, you can see physically, he just isn't the same player that we bought, unfortunately. I compare him to when he was at Everton. You look at clips when he was at Everton, he just seemed to be in a different place physically. He seemed to be so much more flexible, so much more dynamic as a forward player, and he just seems so stiff now, and it's a shame to watch it. And I think you see the kind of flashes of the old Richarlison come in sometimes, but like, when he scores overhead kicks every so often. But when I think the biggest evidence of it, we saw him on the left wing against Sunderland, and he just doesn't have the same effect in those kind of wide areas and in space that he used to. Like that moment against Leeds where he had that run on Joe Rodon and he had a few yards on him and he still got caught up and he just doesn't have the pace anymore. So I think, unfortunately, it's the right thing. 20 million, we're going to have to take a hit on him, unfortunately. I think his injury record obviously massively counts against him. But to be fair to him, you've got to say, whatever you want to say about Richarlison, his goals to game ratio is pretty strong. Apart from his first season where he wasn't very good, but ever since the last 2 seasons under Ange and this season, whenever he has played, he has pretty consistently scored goals. So I think teams will look at that and think, there is a player, if you can get him on the pitch, he is a pretty consistent source of goals. So hopefully we can convince someone to spend that 20 million on him. And I think from our point of view, we do need an upgrade. We need someone who's more readily available. And unfortunately, we just do need someone who's better. I think as much as Richarlison does score goals, I think that does it quite make up, for his lack of a lot of what he lacks: technical ability, hold-up play, his all-round game. I don't think it quite does anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, look, I've been saying for a number of years it's probably time to move past Richarlison and try get a move for him. But the reality is, I think Spurs have probably been willing to do a deal over the last couple of years, but Richarlison hasn't been willing to do a deal, and he's wanted to stay. Now that we're talking about the World Cup, by the time the next World Cup comes along, he'll be 33 years of age. So you're probably thinking, if he is going to go to a World Cup or another World Cup, this is probably his last chance.
Yeah.
So I think him staying at Spurs was all kind of in vision of trying to make it to this World Cup. Now this World Cup's going to come and go. I think this summer is probably the best chance for Richarlison to leave. I think if he does go to a Flamengo or go to a Saudi Arabia, it's his last chance to get a big pay packet as well. Maybe not so much at Flamengo, but definitely at Saudi. So, yeah, I think these clubs like a Flamengo or like teams in Saudi would spend that money on him. I really believe that. And I think he's got marketable value as well.
He does. In terms of what you're saying, Tottenham willing to do a deal, do you reckon they've been willing to do a deal for as little as 20 million before?
I reckon last summer they were probably willing to do a deal for about 30 million.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's dropped even more now, hasn't it? And I think...
But it makes sense because his contract is winding down as well. So there are so many different aspects that come into play. But I think even if Spurs had a deal for like 25, 21 million last summer, I think they would have thought about it. I don't think they would have, rejected it straight out of hand. So, yeah, look, I think he's a player that Spurs have been trying to move on for the last couple of years. And now the World Cup has, come and gone after this summer. I think it's probably going to suit Richarlison maybe to move on even now as well. Yeah,
it's a shame how everything's panned out of Rishi, because I had such high hopes for him when he first signed. Obviously, this is his 4th year now, so it's not like he's been here a short time. It feels like he's not been here long because of maybe how much he's played. But he has been here 4 years, and he just hasn't lived up to the £60 million price tag whatsoever, if we're being honest. And that's the reality. He hasn't been I definitely don't think he's been anywhere near as good that he was at Everton. That's true as well. But I think the main thing is just those injuries. If he was fit more, maybe we would think about his time a lot more fondly, but unfortunately, that's just something we haven't been able to see enough.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on. Let's talk about Luca Vuskovic now. We love talking about Luca Vuskovic because what a stunning season he's had at Hamburg. And the question is where he's going to play his football next season. There was a report a couple of months ago saying that he's dying to be back at Hamburg next season to play with his brother, whose ban is ending going into next season. Hamburg coach Merlin Polzin substituted both Vuskovic and Arsenal loanee Fabio Vieira in stoppage time in their last game, which he called a special moment. And he said that he had the privilege of coaching these players for a year, and he's very happy about that because they played a superb season. The significance of this, I believe it was Hamburg's last home game of the season against Freiburg, and he gave Vuskovic and Fabio Vieira that moment in front of the fans, subbing them off in stoppage time, which, some say it could have been a farewell to the players. Now, the defender believes his next club will not be Hamburg next season, and he said, and he's told German media after that game, it's 99.9% certainty that was my farewell party at Hamburg. He added, it was a special moment. I'm very happy that I could help the team, and I'm very happy that I was allowed to be part of this great club. So I guess that puts to bed the rumours that he will be staying at Hamburg next season.
Well, he says 99.9, didn't say 100, did he? So not completely. I don't think you can definitely rule it out, but it sounds like he's been told something from Tottenham, doesn't it? It sounds like he's been told by Tottenham, you're probably going to get an opportunity next season. You've been very impressive. We've loved what we've seen, and we're excited to get you involved. And if you come back into the fold, you'll probably be playing. Either that, or maybe he's been told if you do go on loan, it won't be to Hamburg. It's likely to be a higher level, whether it be a Bundesliga or whatever. That's more like. But I reckon he's been told you're coming back and you're going to get an opportunity.
I think so.
So I'm excited about that. By the way, he scored again, didn't he, on the weekend? A free kick. So I mean, he's now scored a scorpion kick. He scored a few headers. He scored an overhead kick, didn't he? And now he scored a free kick. I mean, the guy, his quality knows no bounds. He's a superstar. It's ridiculous.
The guy's a centre-back, and the catalogue of goals at 19 years of age this guy has is just insane.
You see, if it was a number 10, you'd be impressed. And he's a centre-back.
He's a striker.
Yeah.
If he was a striker at 19 years of age with that catalogue of goals, you'd be like, wow, get this guy in now.
I know. It's insane. And this is a guy in the Bundesliga. So what's his goal tally now? 5? I mean, it's ridiculous. He's potentially up for a Puskas with that scorpion, with that back heel volley. He's a ridiculous talent, and not only that, his passing ability is brilliant. He's aerially
6 goals this season.
6 goals. He's aerially so dominant. I think he's got one of the best aerial completion rates in the Bundesliga. He's got into Team of the Year. I mean, he's had a phenomenal season. It couldn't have gone much better. Young Player of the Year. What, he won it?
Did he win? No, he's up for it.
No, he's up for it. I mean, it just couldn't have gone better, and I'm super excited to see him in the Premier League next season.
Last year when he was in Belgium, he scored 7 goals, and we were like, well, he goes to a high level. He's not going to replicate that in a top 3 league in Europe, is he? At 19 years of age? Well, he's done that. He's done that.
Not even
goals.
20.
Madness. So I'm so excited. We've been so excited for years, but as every test presents himself to Luca Vuskovic, he just passes with flying colours, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So, it's incredible. So big up to Luca. Hopefully he'll be back in the fold next season. We'll definitely see him for pre-season, that's for sure. And we'll see what happens.
He even scored in pre-season for us.
He did,
a great goal,
game,
left foot. He's not even left-footed. He scored left foot outside the box, wasn't it? Or edge of the area. It's crazy. What a talent.
But in terms of Luca Vuskovic coming into the frame, obviously it will be a casualty. And let's talk about Cuti Romero now, because there's some interesting updates regarding Cuti. Argentinian press, Dario Cronica, are saying that Romero, now out of his knee brace, made the decision to remain in England with the team as they fight relegation rather than go back to Argentina, which has meant that the Argentinian FA has sent a member out of staff to London to aid his recovery ahead of the summer's World Cup. And this has actually been verified for Romero, because he's actually posted on his Instagram a picture with him and the staff from the Argentinian FA. Romero's plan was to travel to Buenos Aires to train at the Lionel Messi training centre to complete his rehabilitation, but his desire to be around his Tottenham teammates during their relegation fight meant that the Argentinian medical team instead had to send Luis Garcia to the English capital to complete the World Cup winner's rehabilitation process. The recovery timescale for his injury is estimated to be around 6 to 7 weeks, which will allow Romero to be back for Argentina's preparation games for the World Cup against Honduras and Iceland, and then obviously be back for the World Cup that starts for Argentina on the 16th of June. Is it any surprise that Romero is going to be back for the Argentinian games in the World Cup? I don't think it is.
Yeah, but when you say that, what are you implying? That he's faking the injury?
No, I don't know. It's just the thing. Every time he gets an injury, he's always back for the Argentinian games.
Well, people say
Every
that.
time.
I mean, you remember in the World Cup, he got injured and then he was back for Argentina. Everyone was saying, "Oh, look at him! He was fake." Well, he didn't want to play for Tottenham. Now he's back at the World Cup, and then he was awful in that first game, and they had to rest him for the second game because he just wasn't fit enough. And then he ended up having a great World Cup after that.
I actually don't think it's a case of him not wanting to play for Tottenham and getting himself fit for Argentina, where that is the kind of media narrative. But it does always seem to work out like that. It's just one of these weird things, isn't it?
I mean, in 6 weeks' time, is that enough to make what are you saying, 6th of June?
So 6 to 7 weeks, he'll be back
from when he was in, from now or from when he was injured?
From
when
he was injured.
So 6 weeks is not the 6th.
No, from when he was injured.
From when he was injured.
Yeah,
because I was about to say 6 weeks is not the 9th of June. That's a lot further down.
Yeah, from 9th of June now is like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, so that doesn't make too much sense. It must be from when he was injured, which makes sense, I guess, from the injury that he did get. Look, I hope he makes it for himself, and I hope he has another great World Cup. And obviously, if anything, that's going to raise his price again because he's not had a great season and stock is a bit lower than it could be. But also, again, medical staff. They've had to fly out someone to look after his injury because he doesn't trust the Tottenham medical staff to look after it. And he's probably thinking, if I leave my injury to the trust of the Tottenham medical staff, I'll probably play at the World Cup. He'll probably think if I play at the World Cup, I'll probably re-injure myself within a few minutes, like every other Tottenham player seems to do. So, no surprise that he's got a lot. Probably, even more so, the Argentinian FA probably don't trust the Tottenham medical staff as well. So, it doesn't surprise me that he's got someone flown out.
Look, he's got previous of this as well, isn't he? In his last injury, he thanked the Argentinian FA medical team for getting him back fit, and no mention of the Tottenham medical team whatsoever. So Romero knows exactly what he's doing. However, though, Ben Jacobs does say Romero, I'm told, will still leave either way. There's no high likelihood of it anyway, and it makes it a bit more clear-cut that Tottenham need to agree on something there if it suits all parties, and then go out and get a starting defender to come in. Is that starting defender Luca Vuskovic? Is that starting defender Marcos Senesi or someone else? But Ben Jacobs suggests that relegation or no relegation, Romero is still looking to leave.
Yeah, we've heard that, and I think it's a case of both parties happy to part ways. I think in this scenario, in terms of the starting defender, yeah, I think. I mean, Senesi in most other scenarios would be. So I think he's definitely come. He's not being brought in to like be on the bench, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see obviously if Romero is the one going and Senesi comes in, how we do that. But yeah, I think Vuskovic probably will get his opportunity. You would think, unless Zerbi's happy to play 2 left footers.
Yeah, which I'm not too sure, but it could be. Well, look, let's get onto Senesi then, because Senesi was the next topic, and Ben Jacobs again talking about Senesi. Bournemouth have today confirmed that Senesi is leaving the club at the end of the season as a free agent. The club have known about the departure since last year, and both parties have agreed. Both parties did agree on no January exit, so that's why he's leaving free at the end of the season. Spurs already have an agreement in principle with Senesi if they stay up. Man United have shown interest, while Liverpool are yet to decide whether to make a move or not, and could be contingent on whether Ibrahima Konate remains at the club. But I find that, didn't he just sign a contract, Konate, or was he about to sign a contract?
There was rumours. There's been, I don't know if it was official or not, but there's been rumours of his contract being him stalling and then him signing. I don't know if he actually officially signed one or not. But you would have thought they would look for someone. Like let's say Van Hecke, they go for him. I think he'd be a perfect fit to partner Van Dijk. I guess Senesi could do the job as well, but it seems a bit of a budget kind of replacement for us, though. Considering we're not in Europe, we need to kind of potentially find some sort of freebies when we can, and I think Senesi would obviously be a great move. The fact that he's a left footer though, and we have Van der Ven, if he stays, just leads to some question marks. How does De Zerbi see the backline working? Could he place Van der Ven and Senesi together? Could Van der Ven spend some time at left back? Would Senesi have to fight for his place on the left hand side, which is also fine for me. And obviously with Vuskovic potentially coming back, there are some question marks there. But I think we've always said though, we do need an adequate cover for Van der Ven, and that's been something that's just been for years. Ever since Van der Ven's been here, we haven't had adequate cover for him. It's always been either Davis, who's not been quite up to it, or we've been shoehorning Dance on the left or shoehorning Romero on the left, and nothing's quite worked. And whenever we've missed Van der Ven, he's been a massive miss, hasn't he? We just haven't had an adequate replacement for him. It works a bit better with Danso, just because Danso's more comfortable on the right when Romero's gone out. So it's been okay. But when Van der Ven's missing, there's just no one who's comfortable left centre back in the same way. So from that point of view, regardless of how De Zerbi sees it, I think getting Senesi would be a good move. Yeah,
I agree. And look, I've made it clear about my thoughts about Senesi. I think he's a very, very good player. I think he'll suit the way De Zerbi wants to play. And in my mind, I've got it being like Senesi, because we know that Ben Davis and Cuti Romero are both probably leaving the club in the summer. It could be Senesi replacing Ben Davis and Vuskovic coming in to replace Romero. That's what it could be.
Yeah, which is fine by me.
Yeah, and I think, look, it's hard to say that Vuskovic is an upgrade on Romero at this current moment in time, but he could potentially be down the line. But Senesi is by far a replacement, a step up to Ben Davis, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think if Senesi would be our backup centre-back, he'd be the best backup centre-back we've ever had, I think.
So would you be comfortable going into next season, let's say we stay up in the Premier League with Van der Ven, Senesi at left, and Vuskovic and Danso on the right?
Yeah, pretty comfortable.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Alex Scott. Ben Jacobs has been speaking about Scott, saying that Tottenham are one of the clubs that is also looking at Bournemouth's Alex Scott. He's on Manchester United's radar too, but once again, as I've said many times, Bournemouth are very calm about the situation and hope to offer Scott a new deal in the coming weeks. Central midfielder could be an area where Tottenham look to improve. They'll have to make a decision over João Palhinha, and there is a willingness to potentially engage to keep him permanently, as he would like to stay at the football club this summer. I think João Palhinha is a no-brainer. I think they have to make that permanent, in my opinion, for the money that's being bandied about. And Alex Scott, like we spoke about yesterday, we spoke about him at length as a Tottenham boy, the quality that he has. Hopefully, Spurs can kind of sway him to move here and not sign that contract at Bournemouth because he's only got 1 year left.
Yeah, so let's hope that we can kind of get into Alex Scott's ear. Obviously, we need to stay up. That needs to be first and foremost. I don't see Alex Scott playing in the Championship when he's potentially going to the World Cup. So he's in a different stratosphere now to that. He's become a phenomenal midfielder at Bournemouth. But as I've said before, he's fully poised. You have to take advantage of those situations. In terms of the João Paulinho, it'd be interesting because if Paulinho stays, as I've said before, we're going to have to make some tough decisions. With lots of talk about Sarr leaving. If it is a choice of keeping Paulinho and then missing your chance potentially on Alex Scott this summer and having to wait for him, or not signing Paulinho and going for Alex Scott, who's got a year left, what do you do?
I think you need to bring both in. I really do. I think there's players like Pape Matar Sarr, Bissouma that could potentially be going out the door this summer. I think you can have a squad with both of them in for next season.
But you also have Bergvall, Gray, Bentancur, Paulinho, and Gallagher. So you've got 5 centre mids there potentially.
Yeah.
So
for 2 spots, I guess. Guess you got to count Maddison in there as well.
Maddison, now he's back. If you're if you're looking for 3 spots, if you count the number 10, obviously we'll see Xavi. I don't know if we'll sign the number 10. I don't know if we'll sign other midfielders. Next season, would you rather have Alex Scott or Paulinho in your squad?
I genuinely don't think it should be a case of either or.
But if it was,
we can have both. But I don't think it should be.
But what if it was?
But it's not.
I'm just saying, what if it was?
But why does it need to be?
Doesn't need to be. I'm saying if it is. If signing Paulinho impacts the chances of getting Scott, what would you do?
I mean, I'd prefer Alex Scott, obviously, than João Paulinho, but they're 2 completely different players. Like, one's a 6 and much more focused on defence, and Alex Scott is like a bit of a maverick and much more technical. So I don't think it's an either or. I think they bring different things and different profiles to the team, and I think if you're building a squad, to have both of them in your squad is very valuable, in my opinion. So, you're talking about having 5 or 6 midfielders for 3 different spots. I don't think that's too many. I really don't.
Well, that's without Scott, and that's without potentially bringing in another one, which maybe you'd want another 6 to and maybe even a 10. Because are we going to sign it? We don't know what's going on with Kulusevski. Obviously, Javi's out till at least February. So you might want another attacking midfielder. So then you're all of a sudden potentially talking about 8 or 9 at that point.
I think Kulusevski probably will be back for next season. I mean, can't say for certain, but I think he will be. But
judging by what Potter's saying.
Yeah, the beauty of Kulusevski is that he can play on the right wing as well, where, we probably want to sign another winger as well. But Kulusevski is adaptable in that situation. So, I still think we can fit these players in. Yeah, there might have to be a casualty or 2 in the midfield, but Alex Scott is an upgrade on anyone that we've got, in my opinion, in the number 8 position. So if we have to send some out on loan, if Sarr has to go, Bissouma's definitely going to go. I don't know who's going to make way for Alex Scott, but I think someone should.
I just can't see a world where we sign Scott, we sign Paulinho, and potentially another 6, if that's possible, and keep Bentancur, keep Bergvall, keep Gray, keep Gallagher, all of those, all in the squad. I just don't think that's realistic. I think you'd have to make some tough decisions. I don't know what that would be. Maybe Bergvall on loan, maybe Gray out on loan, maybe both of them out on loan. I don't know what that would be, but you'd have to do something like that if you're going to fit in Scott and Paulinho, and potentially what we're all saying is we need another number 6, because Paulinho is going to be a player you use at the right moments. You don't want him coming in and being your starting number 6 in the De Zerbi kind of team every single week. You want to use him. He has his uses, as I've said, and he's shown it over these last few games. He's shown it since he's been here.
Well.
I'm saying you got Bentancur, yeah, 100%. But we've also said, is he good enough? We've always wanted to even a replacement. When we were talking about him under Ange, we were always saying he was good, but we need a little bit better. He's been very good under De Zerbi so far, but is he good enough to be your starting 6, or do we need someone even better than him? Maybe, but everyone's saying you'd rather get rid of Bentancur than Paulinho?
If we can get a proper passer in there, then yeah, I probably would. Because
really?
I think Paulinho offers something completely different.
He does.
Because if we keep Bentancur, then surely he's going to be, that passer that we have from deep, right? So if we can get a top passer that can play the number 6, then we can have a variation of different profiles.
You think, based on what you've seen in recent weeks, you'd rather let go of Bentancur than Palhinha?
Yeah, I would.
I disagree. I'd rather keep Bentancur.
I think Bentancur's been phenomenal.
I think Bentancur's much more suited to what De Zerbi wants to do.
Yeah, that's fine. And I don't disagree with that whatsoever. But what I'm saying is you want different profiles in the squad. You can't stack a squad with the same profiles. So if we're going to bring in a top passer, someone that can dictate the tempo of play, all the attributes that we've been talking about for a number of years now, then I would keep Palhinha along because he adds something completely different that we don't have.
Interesting. I just think... Look, I think what's probably going to be the reality is we're not going to get Scott. I think we are going to sign Palhinha because we're short of cash. And I think maybe Scott... I don't know how much he's going to... To be fair, I don't know how much they're going to charge for him, but I think he's going to end up signing a contract. And I think we're going to end up just bringing in Palhinha. I think that's probably what's going to end up happening.
Maybe.
I don't see us getting both.
Yeah, I would love to see us get both. I really would, because I think both of them could just add so much to the squad for next season.
I'm just talking about what's realistic and what's probably going to happen. I don't see Tottenham getting both Scott and Palhinha.
I think it is a possibility. I really do. I don't see why not.
I hope I'm wrong.
But we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But, with Alex Scott being a Tottenham boy, if the interest is actually real and Alex Scott is known of that, then I got a feeling that maybe he won't sign that contract and he has an opportunity to join his boyhood club at a kind of fee where, as soon as you sign him, that probably adds 20 million to his value.
You got to remember, though, he could potentially be playing Champions League football for Bournemouth next season. Won't be playing it for Tottenham. So would he want to pass that opportunity up? Maybe he would. Who knows?
Yeah, it all depends on the project at Tottenham and if he believes Tottenham can get back into the Champions League sooner rather than later. You're looking at Marcos Senesi. He's already got an agreement with Tottenham while Bournemouth have Champions League football. And Andoni Iraola, he's walked out. This is Bournemouth at the end of the day. No disrespect to Bournemouth, but Tottenham are a bigger club than Bournemouth, and Tottenham have played Champions League a lot more than Bournemouth. So I think when players are at Bournemouth, they still see Tottenham as a step up.
True.
All right, let's talk about... Oh, this is not a good one. This is not a good one at all, because Laurie Whithall of The Athletic is saying that Manchester United are now proposing a 2-year +1 deal for Michael Carrick. Talks are underway. Backroom staff set to stay, including Steve Holland. However, set-piece coach is on the agenda for Manchester United, and they are looking at a possible return for Andreas Jorgensen. Now... Spurs are one set-piece goal away from breaking the Premier League record this season, as are Arsenal, to be honest. But that would be a major kick in the teeth for me if Andreas Jorgensen was to leave, because he's been our best set-piece coach since Gianni Vio, maybe even better than Gianni Vio. And the set pieces this year, if it wasn't for the set pieces, would be probably confirmed relegated already. Like, that has been what we've had all season to get us out of jail a little bit.
Yeah, I know. The problem is, obviously, it is Man United, and they're probably embarking on a new project. And does Georgian want to be part of that? He came here when Frank was here. Frank's no longer here. So how much of a reason was that? He's obviously not a change. But we do have De Zerbi. So does he believe in what De Zerbi's doing, or does he believe in the Tottenham project? He's seen how much of a clown show we can be as a club over the last year or so. But then it's not like Man United have been the pinnacle of stability, have they, over the last few years since Ineos has been there. So it's a tough one. I think if Man United come calling, it'll be tough to say no again. But he has been there, and he did leave United for us. So is there a case of he's kind of been there and done it, and maybe he sees Tottenham as the way forward? But it's a tough one. When Man United come calling, it's tough to say no sometimes for a lot of people.
He was literally there last season, though. Like, why did he leave? What were the situations behind that kind of departure there?
Could it be Amorim?
Who knows? Like, does he see Tottenham going in the right direction under Roberto De Zerbi? I mean, there's so many questions to be asked that we don't know the answer to. So it's hard to say, like, yeah, it's easy to say, oh, when Man United come calling, you don't say no, but he's literally was there last season. So I don't know. It's a difficult one.
He was, but now it's maybe a different Man United.
Would he rather work under Carrick or Roberto De Zerbi? Because I think Roberto De Zerbi is a better manager than Michael Carrick.
And he's seeing his methods work here. Like, so why would he want to change something that's working? But maybe he thinks, if I break the record, what more can I do here? Maybe that's what he's thinking. But I hope he stays. I think he's done a brilliant job. Yeah, I mean, he's got us, as you say, would be down if it wasn't for him. You could definitely argue that he should be our first team coach, to be honest. He might as well have been for a lot of the season. So
remember when Thomas Frank got sacked, the one thing everyone was saying,
don't
Jorgensen better be staying.
And he has, and we've scored. Have we scored any set pieces since Frank left? I think we scored a few. We scored.
I mean, that
technically
that
one,
goal was from a set piece, wasn't
technically. So, yeah, I think he's done a phenomenal job, and let's just hope that Man United he get rebuffed.
Absolutely. So let us know your thoughts on all of that in the comment section below. Got an interesting, very interesting press conference from Mikey Moore. I mean, these guys' words at 18 years of age, just won Young Player of the Year, by the way, shows he's got really strong head on his shoulders, Mikey Moore. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, he's really kind of laying down the law and questioning the mentality of Rangers, and a few snippets in there from Spurs. So let's go through Mikey Moore's quotes in his press conference. I thought it was really interesting stuff. So first and foremost, he was talking about Tottenham, and he was about saying, for me now, there's a new manager there at Spurs at the minute, and obviously I'm a Spurs player, so we'll have to see what he says about me and what he wants me to do, what the people around me want to do. But I think that's all I can say at the moment. I'm going back there, and we'll see what the new people in the building, and from there I'll make a decision. And you got to feel a bit for Mikey Moore in that sense, because when he went on loan last season, Ange was his manager, and he came back to Thomas Frank. Now Thomas Frank, who's his manager, he's come back to Roberto De Zerbi. I mean, every time he goes out on loan, he comes back to a new management staff that's probably going to have new plans for him.
Yeah, 100%. But I think he'll be happy now that he's got a manager who's known for getting more out of attacking players. Also, I think younger players in the forward line have done all right under him. So I think he should be excited about the prospect of De Zerbi.
Yeah, I do agree. But obviously, it's just a new, fresh set of eyes that he's got to prove himself all over again, kind of thing, which I'm sure he will.
Yeah, well, he's done himself no harm with his loan spell, has he?
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about his loan spell at Rangers, he says, no matter what happens now, the club's been a huge part of what I'm going to become, and it's helped me so much. So for me, no matter what happens, I'm a fan of this club for the rest of my life now. So it's been a special experience. I think mentally, I've changed so much as a person. The way I look at stuff now, I think I've realised that every day means something. So before, maybe I have days where I switched off, I'd come into training, I'm kind of not so much on it as much as I need to be. But if you want to go and win every single game, that's where we need to be. I think as a team, we need to learn that as well. So we need to realise that every day means something. It's a chance to improve. So for me, that's been the biggest learning point for me. And I think for me, I mean, that shows like a change in his maybe mentality where he's got a different outlook of something before he joined to after he's joined as well.
Yeah, which is great. And he's a young player. He's obviously going to learn these things a long way. And I think being in a club like Rangers, where the mentality is, you have to challenge for the title every single year. So you have to basically win every game, and every loss is a disaster. That definitely does change your it changes your perception of things. And we saw with even when Harry Kane said it, when he moved to Bayern, he goes at Tottenham, you lose 1 week, it's not the biggest deal, and it's not. And but at Bayern, if you lose, it's a disaster, and you have to be kind of on it every single game. Not to say Kane wasn't on it at Tottenham, I'm just saying he talks about that difference in perception. And clearly Mikey Moore is seeing that at Rangers, and that's going to make him a better player, because it just means every game he has to be on it. He has to keep improving himself to get those little edges and little advantages. And clearly he's been doing that, because when he first got there, he was in and out of the team. He wasn't really getting picked. He wasn't performing so well. And then something changed, and obviously the manager changed, and he's been much more consistent ever since.
It was put to Mikey Moore that Rangers have never questioned his mentality, and that's pleased him. He says, yes, 100%. I think that's what you need. You need people to think of you, that you're going out there and giving your all. I've had many days this year where I've not been good enough. I've not showed enough, but I think I've shown that I'm always trying and I'll always give my all. So it's nice to have that respect. Obviously, the gutting thing is that we don't have that as a team to really make your mark. I think people remember winning titles, not just individuals. So that's just disappointing thing for me. He's also said that he had plenty to say on Rangers themselves, and he says, for me, there's no digging out players. Personally, I think as a squad there needs to be a lot more driving each other to be better. There are top people in this group, but we need to have each other's back, and when it gets tough, I don't think we've done that enough. I think in tough moments this year, we haven't had each other's back, and we haven't got together as a team and really said, right, we're going to stick together. We're going to get through it. We need to just grab the game, and when it's tough, a few more. We need to have big personalities and go for the game. I can't put it down to much on other people. I don't think the boys have gone out their way to do it. I just think as a team, we need to help each other more. When the going gets tough, we need to get behind each other and not get on each other's back. I think as a collective, to have a winning culture, you need to have those standards. It's hard to put it down to one thing. For me, when it got tough, we just need to stick together more. I think that's the main thing for us. When we're probably going well in the game, everyone's probably full of confidence. But when it gets tough, we really need to show real personality. I mean, like,
wow,
digging out some of his teammates there, or maybe the squad as a collective, really.
Well, he said not digging out players.
But he kind of was, though. He's not, but he is. Like, at 18 years of age, being a lone player as well, to stay stuff like that, I think it's quite massive.
Yeah, it's surprising. Definitely a player of who's a teenager, who's a lone player in the squad. You would think maybe he kind of is a quiet lad, or doesn't want to, make too many sweeping judgments on the dressing room because he's just learning the game himself. But clearly, he's looked at the situation, thinks there's something wrong, and he's calling it out. Maybe obviously it's like not parting shot, but kind of like, I'm leaving. I'm probably not going to be here next season, so this is what I really think, and you've got to sort this out for next season if you're actually going to challenge Celtic and now even Hearts for the title next season. Those are things you need to change, and maybe he's doing it for the good of the dressing room, for the good of the club, to try and give them some home truths before he leaves. Surprisingly, he did it in a press conference, but it also goes to show kind of what he's learned throughout his career. And I mean, I'd hate to think what he thinks of the Tottenham dressing room when he says that kind of stuff, but it's very like kind of mature way of looking at things when he's talking about, it's all well and good when you're full of confidence and everyone's together and everyone's happy because you're winning. But when you're not winning, that's when you really find out about yourself. That's when you learn things about yourself and you learn things about the team. And that's what he's learned. When things are not going well, we don't kind of stand up. We don't stick together. Maybe people are blaming each other. Maybe people are moaning about things. Maybe people are maybe people are not calling each other out more. I don't know what exactly the situation is, but he's clearly identified that when things are not going well, we haven't done enough to stick together as a team. And for him to have identified that as a young player, I think goes to show what he's learned and what he'll be looking out for in other dressing rooms. And that's something as well I think will serve him in good stead down the line when he's in dressing rooms that aren't doing well. And he'll be like, look, I was at Rangers and we didn't sit together. We need to not do that. We need to come together now. And I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think it might have been something that he learned, in the lead up to the Europa League final, because obviously he was in and around it. And the key thing from that is that the Spurs players did seem to stick together all the way through the bad times until the very end. And maybe he's looking at that situation and then going into the Rangers situation and he sees a lot of differences. And he was talking about maybe when things were going bad, Rangers players were just digging out each other instead of actually sticking together. So he might be looking at the differences there and being like, well, this is actually not helping things. We need to stick together and then we get through it.
Yeah, fair comment.
But with Mikey Moore, I think this loan spell of him being a main man at a good club at Rangers, fighting for big things in Scotland, this was going to do him the world of good, isn't it? Not only to mature, but to get better as a player as well. I look at him and I watch him play, and I still think he needs more development. I'm not sure if he's completely ready to come into the Premier League just yet. So maybe another loan spell, but that's up to De Zerbi to decide in pre-season. But you can definitely see his mentality growing. You can see him growing as a player. And you've got to remember, he's only 18 years of age. You know, he's still so young. And to have that season going into the Europa League final, playing a big part in the group stages in the Europa League and stuff like that, and then off the back of that, Young Player of the Year in Scotland, big player for Rangers. You know, this guy's got a big future ahead of him.
Yeah, he's so exciting. And whenever I've been watching some Rangers this season and some highlights, and he just seems to be a cut above the rest. And he's such an exciting talent, and I'm sure De Zerbi will love him. I agree. I don't think he's quite ready to be starting games in the Premier League. I think we saw that when he was in the Premier League at Tottenham, and I think in Scotland, I think obviously he's grown a lot. I think he's probably more suited at the moment in this point in his career to being like an impact sub, coming off the bench if he's going to be hanging around. I think him starting games when he's up against fresh legs and very strong and physical defenders, I think he would struggle. But potentially, I think he could make an impact off the bench. And when the game's a bit stretched or tiring legs, I think when there's space, he could potentially be a good solution. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do keep him around. But I think one more year on loan at a higher level probably is what's in order, playing consistently. That's probably what's best.
Completely agree. But you know what? You never know what can happen. And if he comes back to pre-season and, De Zerbi takes a real liking to him, you never know. He could be part of the first team next season. But that's that on Mikey Moore. It's a brilliant loan spell for him. Definitely excited to see what the future holds for him. I've been a big fan for a couple of years now, Mikey Moore. So very much excited. We're going to go and have a look at how De Zerbi has really revolutionised the defence at Tottenham. We've seen under Igor Tudor, we were conceding 3-4 goals a game. And straight away from De Zerbi came in, you saw a different structure to the team. You saw a lot more resilience in the team. You've seen how, we've spoken on many occasions how Kinski actually hasn't been tested too much in the Spurs goal. And that is all a testament to how De Zerbi has set up this team. And we all had this narrative about De Zerbi, how he's going to improve the attack, but we're still going to be very leaky at the back. But that actually hasn't happened. I think the defence has been very good. I think maybe, a lot is down to how he's got Van de Ven on side, and Van de Ven has been a completely different player from Tudor to De Zerbi, so that's definitely an element as well. But we're going to look through the numbers, look through the data, and see the changes from pre-De Zerbi to what we're looking at now.
Yeah, so De Zerbi's been in charge 5 games, and as you say, the narrative was, will De Zerbi get us playing better football? Will he get us attacking more? Will he, which is what obviously we all wanted. But this all comes back to what Frank said when he took charge of Tottenham in his first few weeks. Everyone saw that defensively we were fairly solid, but going forward it was absolute garbage. It was horrible to watch. We couldn't string 2 passes together. Not even, going forward. It was more just on the ball in general. We couldn't keep possession. We were very sloppy. And he always said, I'm just fixing the defence and then I'm going to start, working on the attack. And I've always said these 2 things are linked. These 2 things are not separate entities. You can't just work on one and not the other, because how you attack changes how you defend. And I think Roberto De Zerbi is absolutely proof of that, because he has come in 5 games. Spurs have clearly had more possession. We've had, I think, I wouldn't even say necessarily more shots, but definitely more possession. We get up the pitch more. We force the team back more. Probably more chances.
Pressing's
and we press, a lot more efficiently. And I wouldn't even say we look better in terms of, there's still clearly a lack of quality in the forward line, and we've all pointed that out. And I think even the stats say, since De Zerbi's come in, our XG is still quite low. It's like the 5th lowest since he's come in. So we're not exactly attacking with better quality, but we are attacking more. And in the last 5 games, where he's made the difference is we've stopped leaking silly goals, or as many silly goals. We still have leaked some silly goals, but we're going to stop leaking as many chances. We have conceded 5 goals in the last 5 games since De Zerbi's taken charge, which is the 4th lowest in the Premier League. But the more impressively, our XG since he took over is the third lowest. To be fair, only Leeds and West Ham have conceded less, so they're doing actually quite well the last 5 games. But we have conceded the third lowest. Now, if you look at the averages for the last 5 games, we've conceded 1.2 xG per game, and our season average is 1.55, so pretty dramatic drop for our xG. But if you look at the even more data underlying, you look at, like, for example, things like touches in our own box, how many times the opposition are getting into our own box. And it's not a case of I think it's more of a case of we're now under Frank. What we saw is we just gave encouragement to the opposition, didn't we? We gave them opportunities to get in our own box, have shots. We were just basically trying to restrict them to low XG chances, but we weren't, like, kind of interested in putting them under pressure. It was kind of like a lot of the time you see top players not pressing, even when in and around the box, and allowing too many entries into our box. So if you see this, the average touches inside the opposition box for most teams this season is 25 a game. So that's the average across the whole Premier League. The average times the opposition will get into your box about 25. Since De Zerbi has come into the team, opposition are averaging 17.2 touches in our box. So basically, we're allowing the opposition a lot less time in our own box. We're not allowing them into our box. And you would think, oh, we're going more offensive, we're leaving more spaces, so surely that would leave more gaps for the opposition to get in. But actually, we're now allowing the opposition a lot less opportunity to even have shots. And
before? So
it's hard to actually it's hard to get that data. But for example, I could give you, like, isolated examples. Against Newcastle, in Frank's last game, Newcastle touched the ball in our box 53 times. 53. By the way, the average in the Premier League is 25.
I imagine under Tudor, it was really bad.
Against Arsenal, it was 45, and when we lost 4-1. At Anfield, obviously, it was 45. But obviously, these are games where we're underdogs. But still, I think the highlight of the one, when you look at the one against Newcastle in Frank's last game, 53 times they were allowed in our box. And that's obviously significantly reduced under De Zerbi. And also take into account, against Brighton, that was the highest one under De Zerbi. That was 30 times. So that was still quite high. But that obviously raises the average. In the other ones, I think Leeds was 14. Villa was only 9. Wolves, I think, was under 10 as well. So we're not allowing anywhere near as much of the opposition into our box, which is significantly reducing their touches. But coupled with that, we're also getting more touches in the opposition box. So we're allowing less, but our average before, over the season, touches in the box was 23.6, which is below the average of the Premier League. Now it's 26.6 in the last 5 games under De Zerbi. So not only have we significantly reduced the touches in our own box, we're also, not massively, but we are even increasing touches in the opposition box.
Which puts Thomas Frank just in the mud with all the statements that he was making.
Basically. I don't know what he deserves. He deserves to be tried in The Hague, I think. Thomas Frank, for his crimes against football. But other little stats as well in terms of shots on target. Our season average was conceded, by the way. We were conceding 4.3 shots on target a game before Roberto De Zerbi came in over the season. Now it's 2.4, so that's basically nearly halved under Roberto De Zerbi as well. So, look, I think the headline here is, I think our attack is still a massive work in progress, but the reality is we are attacking more, even though it's not as still similar quality. We're doing more attacks, so giving ourselves more of a chance to score goals.
But what you got to remember is that for the majority of the season, and a lot of these stats come when we have a lot more players available. Solanke's been available, Kudus has been available, Javi's been available. You know what I mean? We had our first choice, or close to our first choice attack for parts of those moments under Thomas Frank. Now we're stuck with literally just 3 attackers. Richarlison and Moani, and none of them are first choice players.
We can't sub them out a lot of the
And
time.
we can't sub them out as well.
We can't sub them out for an attacker anyway.
So
We
I
do
think,
sub them out.
I think that's significant.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's significant when you talk about why the attack is still flawed.
Yeah.
But it's still flawed, but we are attacking more. And we're getting more touches in the opposition box. And we're asking more questions of the opposition, albeit the quality is still similar to what it was before. But we are attacking more while defending less. And that's leading to less goals conceded, less chances conceded, less shots conceded. And ultimately, that's put us in the position where we potentially could stay up. He has kind of not fixed it, but he's improved the defence massively, not by defending necessarily, but by actually being more front-footed and just denying the opposition chances to get in our goal, not by filling the box with 11 players and just allowing the opposition all the time they want outside the box. But he's just restricted them from getting into our box.
Just look at
by
the
attacking
tactics that we deployed against Arsenal at the Emirates this season.
Mm-hmm.
We went a back three. We stuck 2 defensive midfielders in front of the back three. We literally had 1 striker up front and everyone else was in our box pretty much that game. And I don't know how many entries we had in our box that day, but we ended up losing 4-1. And you're looking at now, we're playing with a back 4, flying fullbacks. You know, you've got midfielders that are willing to pass the ball forward, and we're having less entries into our box. So that just literally just dispels everything that Thomas Frank was telling us when he was our manager.
I can tell you that 4-1 defeat, Arsenal in that game, well, they only had 27 entries in the box, but we only had 4 in theirs on that day. So that was like a record low. Yeah, to be honest, I don't know how. Yeah, so look, the reality, yeah, exactly. So the reality is, I think it goes to show De Zerbi tactically, he's improved things, and he's also, we know we were conceding, especially under Tudor, but also under Frank, but more under Tudor, the sloppiness of the goals we were conceding, the amount of the goals we were conceding, losing by 3 or 4, just like giving him so many soft goals. And under Tudor, you now look at some of the goals we've conceded. You know, Sunderland, that was just a lucky deflection, from outside the box. You look at the ones against Brighton, especially the first one. Okay, the second one wasn't great, but the first one, wonder strike. Against Leeds, a stupid penalty, which came from, an overhead kick. And obviously the Villa one wasn't a great goal, but it was also, the game was dead at that point. But yeah, that was maybe one you can look at. That's probably the only goal you can look at and say that was quite sloppy from the defence. But yeah, so I think definitely the soft goals have been massively reduced under De Zerbi.
It's strange that Aston Villa goal, because I always forget about that goal.
Yeah.
Because the game was completely won, and I just completely forget about it. I don't even remember what that goal was like.
It was a header. It was a header from Buendia, but the game he was 2 minutes over time. I don't know why he was still playing. The referee shouldn't have been playing at that point. But yeah, so I think that is very encouraging going into next season, because we know if we, defensively, if we can reduce the amount of sloppy goals by playing this kind of way defensively, and once we get the likes of Kudus, Maddison fully fit, Kulusevski, obviously maybe we sign an attack or two, get Solanke into the team, and obviously maybe we make some attacking signings. There's so much to be excited about, I think.
And also, you've got to remember, De Zerbi has made our defence better without Cuti Romero. Do you remember when Cuti Romero got injured? It was saying, this is it, nail in the coffin, Romero, we can't defend without him. And our defence has actually got better without Cuti Romero, with Kevin Danso stepping in. And not only that, Kinski, after the Atletico Madrid game, everyone was saying Kinski, he's never going to play for Tottenham again. His Tottenham career is over. He's come back. And not only has he been flawless in terms of being a goalkeeper, but how many goals have we given away this season with Vicario trying to play out the back? And how many moments of panic have we had with Vicario playing out the back? So I think Kinski coming in, I think it's been revolutionary a little bit.
You're right. You're absolutely right. As much as he's not got his first choice attackers, there definitely have been defenders as well that have been missing, and he's managed to find out a way to improve certain things, even under these unbelievable unbelievably harsh conditions that he's come in at Tottenham, which is a big reason why, even with 7 games to go, you're thinking, okay, he's come in. And obviously, I was happy he came in because it was I gave our best shot. But I was like, even though we've done the best thing we can in that situation, is it going to be too little too late? And it still could be, because there's still 2 games to go and we still could go down. But he's given us a better shot than we ever had. And that's because of his talent, the talent of his coaching and how he's improved things. No one thought he was going to come in. And like everyone thought, Zerbi's going to come in and we're just going to somehow attack more and we're going to have to try and outscore the opposition because he's not going to come in and, correct the defence. He's going to try and get us attacking more. But what he has done is got us attacking more and he's improved the defence. And he's done it in such a short space of time as well. And it's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. So, I mean, I can't sing De Zerbi's praises enough. I mean, he says all the right things. We're seeing the right things. Yeah, look, we all want Spurs to be better. And I don't think we're seeing De Zerbi ball in its full flow, are we? I think he's definitely making some sort of, different ways to play as he usually does, and I think that will come next season when he's got a pre-season behind him, when we're not so, relegation threatened, and when he needs to make some sort of leeway now. Next season, I'm so excited to see De Zerbi ball in its full flight. I just can't wait.
These next 2 games go away, that is.
Yeah, even in the Championship.
More excited in the Championship. We'll break the record, I think, under De Zerbi.
Yeah. But, look, let us know your thoughts on that in the comment section about how impactful De Zerbi has actually been in the defensive side of the game, because everything coming into it, we're all talking about how he's going to impact the attack. But the defence has been actually the thing I've been most impressed about since De Zerbi has come in, because we just don't concede that many chances. We don't concede that many shots, where it just wasn't the case under Thomas Frank and Igor Tudor. So let us know your thoughts on that in the comment section below. Next up, we are going to be exposing the monstrosity that is VAR and how they have been against us all season. They really have. These jokers that are VAR, these jokers that are the PGMOL, have really screwed us over all season. And we're going to be showing you exactly how and when they've been screwing us over all season. So let's go and take a look at these graphs first and foremost. What are these graphs telling us?
Well, if you go to, if you go to the scatter one, go to the right. This one just tells the whole story, because the other ones are just this graph in 2 graphs. So what this graph is telling us, on the right, on the left axis, it's the amount of fouls you get per card, and the upper limit is is going up. It's going down. So right at the top is 3.8. So that, you get 3.8 fouls per card, and at the bottom is 8.2. And the bottom axis is box touches per penalty. So this is amount of touches you get in the box for every penalty you're getting. Obviously, we haven't had a penalty this season. So this is for this season. This is cold, hard data for how Tottenham are getting screwed over. As you can see, Tottenham are in that right-hand corner on the top right there.
Far away from any other club.
team. So what that means is, not only are we getting more cards per foul in the whole of the Premier League, we're getting the least fouls per card. So it says here, basically every four fouls we're getting a card, right? Which is, every other team is a lot more, they're being a lot more lenient. But also, far and away from anyone else, but it's probably because we haven't had a penalty, we're getting way more touches in the box without getting a penalty. Actually, this is 3 seasons. This is the last 3 seasons combined. This isn't just this season. So for the last 3 seasons, we're getting a foul, we're getting a penalty every about 660 touches in the box. The next nearest is Aston Villa, and they're getting a penalty for about every 430. So we are not getting the penalties, that we maybe should be getting compared to every other team. We're a massive outlier. Referees are not blowing the whistle when our players are getting fouled in the box, and they are blowing the whistle a lot more for us for every foul than any other team. And this is not. This isn't kind of rumours. This isn't like kind of conspiracy. This is just cold hard data. This is just facts. The facts of the matter is we are being reffed different to everyone else. That is just what the stats are suggesting over the last 3 seasons. Referees have been way harsher on Tottenham than any other team. And that is just there for all to see. And we're quite a big outlier as well. A very big outlier. It's not even close. Tottenham.
They're not even trying to hide it.
They're not even trying to hide it. Exactly. I don't know what you can say the reasons are for it. But as you can say, this says the average, by the way, the average for touches in the box per penalty is 277. That's the average across the league. And we're on over 600. The average for fouls per card is 5.71. And we're, close to 4.25. That's like where we're at with that. So we're way out. We're way an outlier in these statistics. And we can obviously look. Everyone can point to isolated incidents, and we're going to do that. Showing incidences of where we've been hard done by. Everyone could do that, but when it comes to just facts and stats and hardcore data explaining how we're being ref different, it's there.
It's there for everyone to see.
It's there for everyone to see.
I tell you, the abomination that is the PGMOL, man. I don't know what we've done. I don't know what we've done to offend them. When I think everything changes, that Liverpool game, man. I really believe that. They made a mistake against us. They made a crazy mistake against us. And I think ever since then, they've had some sort of vendetta against us for some reason, for that stupid decision. We're going to go and look at this thread by Spurs Army. Go and check them out. Spurs Army tweets. Brilliant account on X. They've done all the hard work for us. They've done this thread on pretty much every decision this season. So let's look at this thread. So they're saying that so just a few weeks after the last thread, some horrific refereeing decisions in our game versus Sunderland, we're back again with another one, this time focusing on awful decisions that have gone against Tottenham this season. So the first one is, let's consider some actual factual information at the start of this thread. The key match incidents panel has adjudged these to be errors this season. Failure to award Rodri a second yellow card for his high challenge. And I don't know if you remember that. You can see the picture there. Just make that picture bigger. Like that.
No yellow card for that, yeah.
No, that's a red card. Man, doesn't even get a yellow card. The next one was failure to award Brian Brobby a second yellow card caused a season-ending injury for Cuti Romero. So if you make that bigger, you can see that. And by the way, Brobby shouldn't even been on the pitch to make this challenge. He should have been sent off in the first half. And the failure to award a penalty for the challenge on Archie Gray deemed to not meet the threshold for VAR intervention. And that was, that one, which was just a stonewall penalty, which was mad at Brentford away. So let's go on to the next point of the thread. Was Peter Banks via ref cam was heard to say clear foul, end of, when disallowing Randall Kolo Muani's goal against Arsenal. The game was tied at 1-1. A week later, Jimenez pushed Dragoshin, did not see Fulham's goal overturned. Ekitike goal also allowed despite push. So if you look at these pictures big.
So disallowed.
So this one was disallowed.
Allowed.
This one was allowed. How do you make sense out of this? How do you make sense out of this?
It's crazy, and also if you look at all the if you actually watch the video, we can't do it on screen, but Muani's is by far the most lenient of all the pushes.
He barely
touched him. You look at Ekitike. Oh, don't play that one. If you look at Ekitike and Dragoshin, they clearly has body movement from the defender, and there's a clear push. You look at Muani, he barely tickles his back. He literally has a hand on it, but he doesn't. There's no force in that push. Whereas the other ones, there's clear trajectory where Dragoshin's about to head it away, and you literally his body get moved by, I think it was Jimenez on the day. Yeah, this one, you can clearly see it's just Gabriel moving out of the way, like jumping and diving. It's ridiculous. Yet that one got disallowed, no VAR intervention. The other two, got referee saw nothing wrong with them, and they were allowed. More evidence of Tottenham being refereed differently right there across the Premier League. We were refereed differently in that situation than the other teams.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute joke. And I tell you what, by the way, Gabriel has been ref differently all season by these referees. And Cuti Romero, if you compare Cuti Romero and Gabriel this season, one is at one end of the spectrum of being ref different. The other is at the complete other end of the spectrum for being ref different. That kind of so-called push from Miranda Kolo Muani on Gabriel. Gabriel's been buying those fouls all bloody season, by the way. He headbutts Haaland in the Man City game. What does he get? Nothing. He should be banned for 3 games and be out for their title running. You know what I mean? Gabriel has been ref differently all season.
Also, he hit Waltermada in the face against Newcastle, nothing. And he had that handball, didn't he, against Newcastle away? Gave nothing. And, Romero, every little thing Romero does gets penalised.
Yeah.
Everything.
Exactly. So the next one, we can't... No, it's the one...
Yeah, don't play... Pause the video. Pause the video.
Pause it.
Yeah.
So... Rewind to September to see Spurs have a goal ruled out for minimal contact. The pundits on Sky at the time couldn't believe it was ruled out. Neither could Manners. And I remember, if you go to this thread and listen to the commentary on this video, the commentators are just like, why is this being ruled out? I just don't understand it. Why has it been ruled out? And if you go and look at this goal again to refresh your memory,
no, don't play it.
We just don't understand why. I still can't understand why this is ruled out.
Yeah, it was a nonsense as well. It was a phantom foul. What happened was Walker Peters got pushed over, I think, by his own man. I think it was actually here. Fernandez was at the back post. He's pushing like 2 players. It leads to Van de Ven falling over because he's being pushed. It falls onto Walker Peters. And so there's a bunch of stuff going on, yet the referee somehow ruled it out for a foul on Walker Peters when Matheus Fernandes is being fouled by Van de Ven. It was a bunch of nonsense. Romero heads it in, and yet they've ruled that one out. VAR didn't intervene to give the goal. They've ruled it out, and yet all the other ones, it's just crazy. We get our goals ruled out for non-fouls. Players are fouling our players, and those goals get allowed. But Muani has a hand on the back of Gabriel, and that doesn't get allowed. I mean, all these incidences are just ridiculous.
Next one is Enzo Fernandez with a horribly late high challenge on João Palhinha. Yellow card, says referee Jared Gillett. No red card by VAR. And just look how high that is. Look how high that is.
Yeah. I don't know how he got away with that one, to be honest.
Romero's doing that. They're putting him in jail.
100%. Romero wins the ball and it's slightly high on the ankle, immediate red card. That's how they've done it with them. But Enzo can attack the knee and it's fine, apparently.
Next one is, he says, and let's not forget the incident where Bentancur gave away a penalty despite being fouled by Dan Burn.
You can literally see in the...
Dan Burn literally topples Bentancur over.
Look, I think they're grappling each other. You can see definitely Bentancur has a grapple of him, but Dan Burn literally has him in a headlock. You can see it in the first picture. His arm is around his head. So how... I think the most egregious thing about this one wasn't that it was given a penalty. It was that it wasn't originally given a penalty, and VAR intervened to say, look, you have to take a look at this, and they gave the penalty. And the referee stood there, watched the screen, watched Bentancur be in a headlock, right, and said, Bentancur's bringing him down, so yeah, it is a penalty. That was what pissed me off. If the referee just gave it, because he didn't see the headlock and he just saw Bentancur being fouling Burn, he gave it on the pitch, I would say, you know what, I kind of understand. I don't agree with it, but I can understand why he's given it, and maybe VAR should even overturn it because Burn's fouling him. But the fact that it wasn't given a penalty and VAR intervened and said there's a clear and obvious error there, I mean, that's bonkers to me. Absolutely disgraceful. And it cost us a point because we went on and scored a goal after, but we were in the ascendancy at that point in that game.
And Rio Ferdinand tweeted about it. He says, disgraceful decision toward Newcastle a penalty. Whoever's controlling the VAR should be ashamed. And the ref then reviews and should also. Well done, Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean...
Well done, Newcastle for.
Maybe sarcastically, but I think that this for me is an example of why people are so pissed off at VAR re-refereeing the game. There was no need for them to get involved in that incident. Absolutely no need. And yet they got involved in that one. They gave a penalty, and yet they look at the Arsenal goal and nothing. They saw nothing wrong with that, apparently, and that's all fine. Yeah. But here, apparently that's one to get involved with. Yeah. Ridiculous.
Let's take a look at this next one. Javi Simmons shown a red card for this challenge, but Phil Foden and Hwang Hee-chan both escaped being sent off. So I remember when this happened at the time, we had a whole long conversation about it. I said it is a red card. However, your assessment of it at the time was saying, you'll see many challenges like this that won't be given a red card, whether this is a red card or not. So that just, came to pass, didn't it? Within like a few hours, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally within a few hours. So whether this is a red card or not the point. The point is that so many players are making these same challenges and only R1 gets penalised as a red card.
Yeah, that's what I knew. That's what pissed me off watching. Again, this is another one where VAR gets involved. So it's another one where on the pitch wasn't given by the referee. I think he was given a yellow at the time. And VAR watches the replay and says, yes, that's a red card because he scraped his studs down the thing and violent conduct. And yet, when these other ones are given, when these other ones happen with Foden and Hwang Hee-chan, apparently there's not enough for VAR to get involved, and these stay as yellow cards, or I don't know if they even, I think Hwang wasn't even a foul at the time. And so I knew at the time, watching that Javi one, that that's why I felt this wasn't a VAR intervention as much as it wasn't a good challenge, because you're not going to keep giving red cards for those challenges throughout the whole Premier League. And it was proven. A few hours later, the exactly same thing happened and VAR didn't get involved. And so that's what really pissed me off, because I don't think it was a good challenge by Xavi, but I'm not saying it wasn't a bad challenge, but how, was it really that dangerous compared to these other ones? Like, was it more dangerous than these other ones? I think he could have just gotten away with sticking with that yellow and everyone could have moved on. But it's just pisses me off that VAR are intervening with us, and yet with these other teams, they're not intervening. Why is that?
Yeah.
Isn't that just so ripe for manipulation? You know what I mean?
100%.
Really is. And you know what pisses me off on as well? I don't know if it's true, but if it is true that the VAR has a direct link to the commentary, do you not think that could influence them?
100%.
If they're seeing that Javi challenge and they hear Gary Neville going ooh, like he always does, like after a bad challenge, you don't think that if I don't know if they are, I don't know if anyone can confirm, but if they do have the commentary,
I think they do.
If they're aware of that commentary, how could that not affect them? Of course it can. If all of a sudden it's imprinted in the mind, Gary Neville thinks it's a foul, everyone now thinks it's a foul, I have to intervene here. Whereas if they were just seeing it without the commentary, not biased or anything, maybe they come to a different conclusion.
I think you got a good case there. Next one, our friend Brian Brobby once again, if you can just pause this video. Brian Brobby scored the equaliser when Sunderland came to Tottenham in January. However, you can make a compelling case that he shouldn't have even been on the pitch after needlessly pushing Pedro Porro twice, as no action was taken by Stuart Atwell. This is one that I maybe have less of an issue with, but I don't remember it too well.
So he pushed him over. That should be a yellow. If they're saying, what's he saying? It should be 2 yellows here or what?
Back there.
Nah, it's a bit weak. I think it's a yellow card. I don't think it's a red. If he's suggesting it should be 2 yellows for that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think this one maybe I've got a bit of a less of an issue with. So we can move swiftly on because there's plenty more still. If we just pause that there. Yeah, Jared Gillett issues Tottenham continue when he sent Darren England for an on-field review to overturn this penalty decision at Bournemouth when there was 50-50 decisions given before.
By the way, that's the first of 2 penalties we've got given and overturned because not enough. For this one, what pissed me off about this one was that Van de Ven was fouled by Brooks, like behind. You can see Brooks is sliding and catches him, and that puts him off balance. And he ends up falling over, but Hill was given the foul against him originally, and he didn't foul him, but Brooks did. And that wasn't looked at by the VAR. So what Van de Ven does go over Hill, and Hill doesn't foul him. So that's what originally was given. So the referee VAR looked at it and said Hill doesn't foul him, so it's not a penalty. But what they neglected was Brooks sliding behind him does foul him. And we've seen a lot of those decisions get stuck by, but for some reason that one got overturned, and I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. Next one, in the same month, Jared Gillett again failed to award a penalty for this handball by Ollie Scarles, with the VAR also missing the touch by the hand. West Ham went on to win 2-1. Jared Gillett struck again.
So is that a natural position?
Yeah. And that actually moved the trajectory of the ball as well. It's crazy.
So I don't understand.
I remember at the time, it's just like, how was this not given?
I don't understand what the rule is. I don't like seeing those given as handball, but the rule is if you're in an unnatural position and your arm is out, I mean, it doesn't get more outstretched than that. He literally can't stretch it out more than where he's stretching it out. So how is that not an unnatural position? He's made his body a lot bigger. Yes, it is accidental, but they've made the rules. That's what the rule says, that's a penalty. So I don't understand how that wasn't given at that point. I thought that's a crazy decision to me. Is that a natural position then? Is that what we're saying? That is unnatural.
That's completely unnatural.
He can't stretch his arm out more than that. It's crazy.
Well, West Ham are allowed to play volleyball in the box and they don't get penalties anyway. So, yeah. Well, next one. Romero sent off for this challenge on Casemiro with the score 0-0 at Old Trafford in February. In the same very day, Brian Brobby with the exact same challenge, not sent off. Diego Dallo on Jeremy Doku, no red card was shown for this tackle a few months later. So, again, Cuti Romero being ref different to many other players. Don't get me wrong, I think that is a red card, in my opinion. But why are these other ones not being given red cards as well?
Yeah, and I think
like this one. This one's the worst of the lot.
Studs on his shin. It's madness how that wasn't given. Brobby's one was also quite dangerous and quite high. But with Romero, you got to say he at least won the ball, and he does obviously go in strong and ends up catching Casemiro. But he won the ball. I don't know. I haven't seen the I don't remember the challenges of the other ones. I don't know if they won the ball. But again, Romero, he got ref differently and it was this time it was given on the pitch. So I'm not as angry with VAR with this one. I think it was probably right not to overturn the red card. It was fine, but it's just again annoying that happens and that's a red. And I said it even this time that's a red. Don't get me wrong, but there will be other times that challenge will happen and they won't give it, and it happened the same day.
Yeah, in the same game, Dominic Solanke was slammed to the floor in the penalty area by Lisandro Martinez. Nobody even batted an eyelid.
Yeah, rugby
this
tackled.
Was a Stonewall penalty as well.
Rugby tackled and nothing given. He was going to win that ball if Martinez didn't shove him over. He
literally pulls his arm across his back and shoves him to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Madness. No penalty given. Next one. Richarlison pulled by Virgil van Dijk, but the referee and VAR ignored it, waving play on. Look at this one.
He was strong goal. And he could have scored. I mean, he did have to get a shot away. But, so the funny thing is, if he let's say, swings his leg and misses the ball, he probably gets a foul there. And he probably gets a penalty or free kick, whatever it was. And Van Dijk probably does get sent off. But because he gets his shot away, he's penalised for getting a shot away. Even though it was a clear foul, and, you know, I think the next week, I think it was Crystal Palace. I can't remember who it was, but I think one of the players tugs Cunha a lot less than that, and the VAR goes back and gives him a red card and last man. Yeah, Van Dijk has a really good chunk of his shirt and really chucks him back, and yet nothing.
This next one, this was in the Brian Brobby second game where he should have been sent off. We have a hilarious circus act by Rob Jones in the Sunderland game where he and VAR failed to show a red card for this challenge, and this was when Udogie was through on goal and just completely gets hacked down. Yeah,
he's in front of him. He's in front of the defender. He's got his arm across his neck. I think he actually clips him from behind as well, and yet nothing happened, and VAR didn't intervene on that one for some reason. I thought that was really odd. And I think they scored the goal a minute after that or something. So it's ridiculous.
Next one. This one will be fresh in everyone's memory. This was the penalty Maddison should have got against Leeds. So Ampadu commits 2 offences in milliseconds in added time on Monday night. Elbow to James Maddison in the head. Late challenge on João Palhinha. Decision. Yellow card to Roberto De Zerbi.
So that's not the penalty then?
No, this actually is not the penalty. But there was the penalty decision in the same game as well.
Yeah, so how did Ampadu go through that whole game without getting booked? It's ridiculous. 2 fouls, 2 not great fouls either, and De Zerbi got booked for complaining. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that was a red card, but it definitely should have been a yellow.
Next tweet says, off the pitch, we've also had issues. Romero's handed an additional 1-game ban for failure to leave the pitch after being sent off against Liverpool. He was on the pitch for a mere 17 seconds. Igor Tudor was also fined for his comments after the Fulham game, where he spoke out surrounding the inconsistencies of the officials. And obviously, we've just seen James Maddison come out and speak about VAR and how they're scared to make decisions. So I'm just waiting for that ban or fine to come James Maddison's way as well.
Yeah, I really hope it doesn't happen, but knowing the FA and how we've been treated, I wouldn't be surprised either. And
they sign off saying, we've written to them once this season, sums up the incompetence of our board too. If we want change, more has to be done to speak out and let them know what they're doing wrong. The impacts it could have are catastrophic. Kudos to Madders for going public with it. And you know what? Arsenal, as much as we clowned on Arsenal a couple of years back for continually calling out the PGMOL and making their case heard, you know, I think that has made an impact on how they're ref now. And Spurs are too weak in that aspect, and you know, we're just letting it all slide. We should be calling it out, and we should be calling it out regularly.
And you know what's mad as well? De Zerbi has been booked twice already for being outside his penalty area in 5 games. Yet Arteta, I think, has only had 1 red yellow card this season.
Mad, innit? It's mad.
And he's outside his penalty, his technical area every bloody game.
Only manages outside his technical area.
It's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. We need to start putting pressure on them. The PGMOL.
Look, that's our bit to expose the PGMOL. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.
And big up to Spurs Army, great thread.
Yeah, massive big up to Spurs Army. All right, we're going to keep going, people. Enough of that. We are going to be looking forward to the game on Sunday. 5:30 kickoff. Newcastle against West Ham. You might be thinking, why are we previewing a Newcastle v West Ham game? Well, this could have major ramifications on our season and on whether we stay up or go down. If Newcastle win, Spurs are in a very strong position, and we just need 1 point from our last 2 games to stay up. If they draw, Spurs can mathematically be safe if we win. But if West Ham go to St James's Park like they did last season and take 3 points, that puts Spurs under major pressure to go and get a result at Stamford Bridge. Not just a result, but a win. I guess, look, if we get a draw, no matter what happens, we're still outside the relegation zone. But I do think that if West Ham do go and win at St James's Park, I'm not sure if Spurs are going to be able to handle that pressure. We saw, you know, all season we've seen it, but, you know, in the last game we saw once we gave away that penalty, I think we shut the bed a little bit, and the pressure was too much for Spurs to handle, knowing that we need a win to go 4 points clear and put ourselves in a majorly strong position. So we're going to have a look at this game objectively and see what we can find. How can Newcastle go and get those 3 points that we desperately need against West Ham? It's worth noting the injury news going into it. I think Anthony Gordon, I think he's going to start on the bench this game, or, you know, he's just coming back from injury, and there's major talks of him leaving at the end of the season.
Well, a lot of reports saying there's a deal nearly agreed already with
Bayern Munich, yeah. So I'm not sure if he's going to play. Joe Linton, I think, has been ruled out for this game. Tino Livramento ruled out for the game. Lewis Hall back in the frame, though, and I think he's going to be playing.
I think Joe Linton's a doubt, I think he said. Is he out? We have a doubt. He was slight thigh problem. Let's hope he makes it. As you said, Livramento, yeah, he's out. Shah's out. Yeah, I think Gordon, there's also rumours he's played his last game for Newcastle, so I don't know if he's going to be available for this one. Newcastle have had a horrid season. We know that. They've really struggled, especially balancing Champions League and Premier League. They've nowhere near been their best. It's a bit of a weird one, though. I think a lot of games they've actually played fairly well and just not gotten the results they maybe should have. But as well, there's been a lot of games that have been very lackluster. They seem to not have the energy they've had. And I think Newcastle, what you associate with Eddie Howe teams are just that intensity, work rate, getting in your face, like not making you uncomfortable and causing you problems. And I feel like this season, they've also been very quick, direct, the way they attack in previous years. Gordon, Isak, those players. Bruno just quickly passing it in behind, and they're setting Newcastle on their way. So I think a lot of reasons why Newcastle haven't quite been at that level this season, but they haven't shown that side to them. They've been a very different team. I think Voltemade and Wissa haven't done it really in the forward line, haven't really replaced what Isak has done. In fact, you might argue they've looked at their best when Gordon's been up front this season. That's probably when they've looked like their old selves. And it is any surprise when they have Gordon, who's like the paciest player they have, or forward they have, and they've put him in central striker. That's when they look their most dangerous. So I think the loss of Isak has really affected them. But I think the biggest thing has been just not having Bruno, Tonali and Joelinton together for a lot of the season. And the last couple of games they have had them and looked a lot better, but for a lot of the season they haven't been playing. They've actually played Voltemade in midfield a lot. They've trying to find different solutions. Recently their solution is getting Osula in the forward line, who's actually looked all right. Yeah. He's done all right, and maybe because he's a bit pacier than Voltemade.
I've always liked Osula, to be honest. I think he's a good player. I think he adds something different to what their strikers have. Good, young, up-and-coming striker. I like Osula. But, you're looking at Newcastle. I am very happy this is being played at St James's Park. So no matter what, I know Newcastle have had a lot of poor results at St James's Park, but they are always a hard team to play against over there. The fans are always going to be behind them. Last home game of the season, which always brings a good atmosphere, particularly at now, because, they need to finish above Sunderland, and the fans won't accept that if they finish behind Sunderland, and they're now currently one place behind Sunderland in the league. So they do have something to play for still, no matter what you think, that if they're on the beach or not. In the last home game, very much an on-form Brighton side who hadn't lost in a long time went there and found themselves sucked into the game very early on, and Newcastle won 3-1. You're looking on the flip side of it in West Ham. I know West Ham are on good form and West Ham have been playing well, but actually, if you look at it, though most of those good performances have come at home. Away from home, I don't think they're playing well too much. They had a good first half against Brentford, but once a few things went against them, they completely shut the bed, and they showed, poor mentality on that day and kind of imploded in that second half. They had a 0-0 against a Crystal Palace team that rested all their big players. They didn't look good in that game. They had a 2-0 defeat at Villa Park, where Villa just completely played them off the park that day. And, I saw West Ham Fan TV and a few other platforms saying that was one of West Ham's worst performances of the season. So you're looking at their last 3 away games, and they've not performed well, even in this stretch where people are saying West Ham are playing very well. So there are those few little things going into it with Newcastle, their last 2 games, picking up 4 points, and West Ham, their away form, actually not that good at all.
And also, you look at it as well, not too long before that, they got absolutely battered at Anfield 5-2. I was watching that game. I actually didn't think they played badly, but conceded lots of goals. And this is a Liverpool team that just haven't been as good this season, have they, than previous years? And Chelsea's when they got a draw, we got a draw at Anfield, and West Ham went there and lost 5-2, and it was a really horrible performance. So they're nowhere near the best team that they can be got at away from home, essentially. They're a lot leakier away from home. They're not as solid. They don't look as confident. I actually still think they attack fairly well away from home. It's the defence that's the problem. Like, you look at that Brentford game, we mentioned they created lots of chances in that game. You look even at the Palace game was a bit of a dead game from both teams, but they that first half they attacked quite well. They did all right. I still feel like Somerville was still playing well in those games and stuff, but defensively they seem to concede a lot more chances away from home than they do at home. And I think going to a Newcastle team who's maybe a tiny bit more confident than they were. And as you say, I was looking at Newcastle's home form. Don't get me wrong, it is bad, and they haven't been good, but it's always a close game every time. It's not like they're losing easily. They lost to Bournemouth in the last minute, 2-1. Sunderland, there was a last minute goal. They lost that one 2-1. New Barcelona, they got a draw out of. Man United, they won with 10 men. Everton, that was a really topsy-turvy game where they were behind, got back in it, and last minute. Brent, where was it? And then before that, Brentford, I think another late goal where they got got behind, got back in it, and it was a late goal that they conceded. And then before that, they played Leeds at home, which they won 4-3. They drew with us, which we scored a last-minute goal as well. So my point is, yes, their home form is nowhere near as good as it has been and has been in previous years. But it's still a hard place to go. No one has come away with an easy win and just like a standard 2-0 win and Newcastle not offered anything. There's not been any game where Newcastle just not showed up at all and teams are just rolling up there and winning. Every win has usually been a really hard-fought battle with a late goal or a topsy-turvy game where Newcastle taking the lead and they're taking the lead. So my point is West Ham not just going to rock up there and it's going to be a 2-0 win like easy does it. Like they're going to have to fight and battle and scrap to get a win like that. And as you said, away from home, they haven't really shown that ability to do that as much as they have at home. And if Newcastle are showing improvements and if Joelinton does get past fifth and they've got Bruno and Tonali in that team, it's going to be a hell of a challenge for West Ham to win that game.
Yeah, I would say that if West Ham's defence in general has been very good over the past couple of months, Mavropanos at the heart of it. I mean, he looks like a much improved player. He looks like dangerous at both ends, doesn't he? He's so good in defence and then he's such a threat from set pieces as well. What we saw against Brentford in the last game is that, well, their defence didn't look too good for the first time in quite a few games, and Brentford were able to punish them. Well, without punishing them, they used to hurt them without punishing them as much as they should have done. But still, West Ham were a threat down the other end in the first half, and they were quite unlucky not to get a couple of penalties, unlucky with the goal that was ruled out for offside. However, if they can kind of be resolute as they have been in the majority of other games, you know, a clean sheet at Crystal Palace, a clean sheet away at Fulham, you know, 1-0, they won there. You know, if they can bring that defensive solidity to their game at St James's Park, I think Newcastle will find it hard to break them down because they can become, you know, astute defensively.
It's true, but you're talking about two teams like Fulham and Palace who are just not the same threat as Newcastle. When was the last time Newcastle didn't score at home? Like, has it happened at all this season?
The last time they didn't score at home is when they played Aston Villa in January, 25th of January.
So it's a little while. And even in that game, I remember, I think they had lots of chances.
Then Man City, the 13th of January. Before that, you're going back a long way.
So good teams in the top five are the only teams that have gone there and kept a clean sheet.
Yeah.
So if my point is West Ham are expecting to go there and keep a clean sheet, it's going to be a tall order, I think. They're going to have to score. If they're going to win, they're going to have to score at least two. At least. Because I definitely think Newcastle are going to score.
Would you take a draw in this game right now?
Would I take West Ham drawing? Yes. Yeah, I would.
West Ham draw, it means if we can nick a draw at Stamford Bridge,
we only need a point.
Yeah.
So I would take a draw. But I do think there's a good chance that Newcastle do beat them. Who are, I'm guessing Newcastle are favourites. But the only thing you would say is,
Newcastle are favourites. 2.15 are the odds for Newcastle. 3s are the odds for West Ham.
It's not massive, but pretty strong.
Yeah.
I would say, obviously, we know West Ham, actually, apparently they've got a decent record there. So that goes in their favour, apparently.
So let's look at their record there. Last year, they won 2-0. The year before, they lost 4-3. The year before, 1-1. The year before, they won 4-2. The year before, they lost 3-2. So it's always a tight game.
With lots of goals.
Lots of goals, yeah.
Right. So, okay.
So they've won twice there since 2021.
2 in the last 4. And they've only lost once in their last 4.
Lost once, yeah.
So, that they probably...
That's a good record.
That is a good record. They'll probably feel that they can definitely go there and get something. So that obviously it probably leads to a bit of confidence. Also, there is definitely around Newcastle, there is just a feeling of everything's not quite right. Gordon's looking like he's leaving. They just haven't kind of gotten going this season. It seems a bit fractured at the moment, but they are sticking behind Eddie Howe. So that tells me maybe Eddie Howe's going to get a bit of a he's going to get a bit of power this summer to change things and maybe get some people out who shouldn't be there anymore and bring in some new faces. But that's going to happen next season. So right now, it's still maybe is there some people in the dressing room who feels like he should move on, and it just seems a bit fractured. So could West Ham take advantage of that? If West Ham take a lead, are Newcastle going to come back and win the game? it's one of those you can never rule them out, but maybe catch them on an off day, or they can shut them out. So there's definitely a good chance that West Ham take something, but I still think it's more likely than not that Newcastle take something.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're praying for, right?
I still think it is. I still back Newcastle to take something from that game.
The thing is, right, the element that we haven't spoken about is West Ham just completely scrapping for their lives.
Yeah.
You know, this game, as much as, you know, it is a big game for Newcastle because it's their last home game of the season, they can finish above Sunderland. I mean, that's not the pressure that West Ham are playing under. West Ham are in survival mode, you know? So this game does mean a lot more for West Ham than it does mean for Newcastle. And are they going to play like that? Are they going to succumb to the pressure, or are they going to rise to that pressure and really, you know?
Well, it's true, but you got to look at Newcastle as well and say, however unlikely it is, they have an outside gut shot of European football if they win their last two. Like, that takes them to 52, and Europe could technically go down to ninth place if other things fall. Depends on how it falls. So if they get 52 with Chelsea in bad form, Everton haven't won in any games in the last 5, Fulham in bad form, they have Fulham to play on the last day, they could finish in that top 10. If they finish in that top 10, it's unlikely, but they have an outside shot. So I know, knowing Eddie Howe, he won't want to give up on that, like, just very easily, as much however unlikely it is. So I don't think they're just going to turn up and not want to put up a fight.
What year did Nuno join Forest?
Nuno joined Forest in
22.
23, I think.
Let me see this. I'm just trying to.
It was last season, wasn't it? That was his first season. Or was the season before? Did he come in mid-season?
So he's managed 2 games, I think, at St James's for Forest, and they won 1 and lost 1. So last year, they lost 4-3. Wow, what a game that. And then the year before, they won 3-1. So I'm not sure what we
I think Chris was got a hat-trick that game, if I remember rightly.
So, you know, Nuno's got a decent record at St James's Park. West Ham got a decent record at St James's Park. And this game means a lot more for West Ham. I am actually really frightened about this game, man.
Understandably. If West Ham win, we're in trouble.
I think if West Ham win, we're in major, major trouble. And I think if West Ham win, I think we go back to favourites getting relegated.
Yeah, because I think West Ham will beat Leeds on the final day. I think at home they've got a good home record, and as much as we underestimated Leeds, as a fan base, not the team, I still think on the final day, when push comes to shove, they could get that win 100%. So if they win and we don't, I think, yeah, if they win and we don't, of course we're favourites. But purely after the win, yeah, we probably are favourites if they go and win.
Yeah.
Because even if a draw at Stamford Bridge wouldn't be enough to end the final day outside the relegation zone. And I don't think we can handle that pressure.
The pressure to go to Stamford Bridge and win, or draw, because a draw still keeps us above water, but it leaves it in a really precarious situation where we basically have to beat Everton last game of the season to survive. Are Spurs going to be able to handle that pressure? I don't know. I can't
worry about that.
I can't answer that. I don't know.
So it's a lot. A lot depends on what happens here at St James's Park, and we're all going to be tuning in. We're all going to be Geordies. We're going to be Geordies for the day. We're all going to hope Newcastle can do us a massive favour, because if they don't and West Ham come away with 3 points, it's going to be a very nervy Stamford Bridge, and I don't know if I can handle that, going to Stamford Bridge needing a win. Oh.
Exactly, and you know what their fans are going to be like. They're going to be buzzing at the fact that they could potentially put another nail in Spurs' coffin to go down. Like, I actually think, like, they would prefer to send us down than win the FA Cup. I genuinely believe that. That's just what Chelsea fans are like.
For sure, knowing them. But what I just want to check something. What is their record when they've got Bruno? Because I reckon it's probably a lot better.
Must be.
Than when he doesn't. And he is playing. So with that in mind,
it must be a lot better. Like, he is their team.
Let's see. So when he's not playing, yeah, they've played
They beat Chelsea and Man U when he wasn't playing.
8 games. I know they've only won 2 and lost 6 of 8.
It's funny though, because out of those 2 games, well, I know Chelsea and Man United haven't been, well, Man United have been decent, but Chelsea have been poor this season. They've won those 2 games, but lost against the likes of Sunderland, Palace, Everton, Villa.
But I think by and large, when they've been at home to teams in the bottom half of the table, things genuinely go better for them. Like they do generally get wins, from what I can see.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can take that into this game against West Ham. I think if Newcastle come out and are at their best, I still think they win that.
I'm going to ask ChatGPT to make a prediction. I need some sort of prediction. Make a prediction for the Newcastle versus West Ham game on Sunday. What do you reckon it's going to say?
It's going to say a draw.
2-1 Newcastle.
Come on! I would absolutely love that. I would love that. One thing though, if Newcastle are only leading by 1 goal or even drawing going to latter stages, that worries me, because they have conceded consistently. I think they're the highest in the league for goals conceded in the last 5 minutes. And especially recently, off the top of my head, Sunderland scored the last kick of the game. Everton, Bournemouth scored the last kick of the game. Forest scored in the 90th minute just last week. So consistently they're conceding late goals. And West Ham are scoring late goals. Did it against Arsenal, got goal ruled out. Everton, they did it and won the game. So that definitely worries me. I wouldn't be comfortable unless Newcastle got a 2-goal lead in that game. I would not be comfortable.
Well, you say we're all going to be Geordies for the day, right?
Our Geordie's going to be Geordies.
Exactly. Our Geordie's going to be Geordies for the day. I've seen this narrative spewed across social media now. And there's this woman that's a Man United fan, reporter. She's on TalkSport sometimes, but I'm not sure if this was a clip from TalkSport or from her own social channels. But she was saying that Newcastle fans have got to want to lose this weekend to relegate Spurs. And the reason being that if Spurs stay in the league, they're a big threat to Newcastle next season. Whereas if West Ham stay in the league, they're not too much of a threat for Newcastle next season. Which
has some validity, but they still got an outside shot of Europe. If they want any chance of Europe, they got to win.
I think it's ridiculous. Like, look, everyone can point back to when we wanted Spurs to lose to stop Arsenal winning the league, but this is not the same.
I've never wanted to lose to relegate Newcastle. Why would I ever want that?
You know what I mean? Spurs and Newcastle have no beef with each other. You know? I like the Geordies. You know, they're passionate fan base. Love all the fans that we interact with on here when we get the opposition previews and stuff. But there is a section of the fan base that genuinely wants them to lose this weekend, which absolutely blows my mind. How can any Newcastle fan want them to lose? And actually, if they do lose this weekend, there's a good chance they'll be finishing below Sunderland in the Premier League this season. So, do Geordies actually want Newcastle to lose this weekend?
Well, some Geordies been making videos. They've been posting video. Look, we've got it on. I got it on X.
Let's go and have a look at them, and let's expose these Newcastle fans.
If you go on X and you go to the first 3 tweets. So first of all, there's this one. NUFC PB says, "Let West Ham beat us next weekend, please. It's a nothing game for us." So he's tweeting out, and that got 7,500 likes. So he's
how many of those likes are West Ham fans? That's what I want to know.
Who knows? But he's seemingly not bothered, not fussed if they lose to us. This is I think it's Adam, isn't it? Adam Pearson. He's posted this clip. Yeah, you can play the video.
We play West Ham at St James's Park, and if Newcastle loses the game, Tottenham will drop into the relegation zone. But
Not
did
myself.
you know, 5 years ago, Tottenham attempted to stop the takeover of Newcastle United. They weren't happy with the Saudi Arabian player background. They weren't happy with
That is shameless, man. That is absolutely shameless. Talking about something that happened 5 years ago. Daniel Levy that opposed the Newcastle takeover. And Daniel Levy's not even here anymore.
You don't think West Ham opposed it? Of course they opposed it. No chance that West Ham were allowing that to happen as well. Absolutely no chance.
Shameless.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely shameless.
What is it with these Geordies? Why do they care if we stay up or not? Just do your job. Why are they bothered about it? We've not got no rivalry here. We've got no beef with Newcastle. There's nothing there.
Does everyone from Newcastle, the PGMOL, everyone else want to send Spurs down?
It's funny, in a different situation, they would want West Ham going down. But it's because it's against us. We're the bigger evil.
It's mad. It's only the reason is it's nothing to do with takeover or anything like that. They see Spurs as a threat for next season. That's what it is. They see Spurs as a danger to how high they can finish in the season. They're scared.
They're
That's
worried.
what it is.
Exactly. They're worried that if we stay up, we'll come back stronger, and they won't be able to keep up. That's what they're worried about.
They're looking at the Manchester United situation from last year.
Yeah.
Man United finished 15th, 16th, wherever it was. They replenished the squad, got some quality in, and they ended up getting third in the table, or maybe fourth, wherever they're going to finish. You know, big clubs, they might have a few off seasons here or there, but they always rise. And Spurs are going to have one game a week next season under Roberto De Zerbi, and they're frightened of that prospect. They are frightened of that prospect.
And I think, you know what, I think they're a bit jealous of us as well, because they got all these PSR issues. And we haven't had the same things, and they're having to sell Gordon, and even though they got all this money and Saudi backed, they haven't got quite the financials to work to make it work, and they've had to sell a lot of players. Had to sell Anderson, who's now playing for Forest. They look at Tottenham, and we've had every advantage that they haven't had, and we're screwing it up. And they want us to be punished for it, I reckon. They're just jealous that we're getting away. Well, not getting away, but we have our books in order when it comes to the finances, allegedly anyway. And we don't have the same problems as them having to sell our best players. So if we go down, that's like a club with more advantages than them, not in the same league at the same time.
Absolutely. Spot on. Let's go and look at this next one. They keep coming. They keep coming out the woodworks. What's this guy saying?
Didn't think I'd ever be here, I admit it, but Newcastle, Eddie Howe, can you do the one thing that you've done in every single game this season and be absolutely shite at football? Let's give West Ham the 3 points on Sunday, please. I mean, I'm saying that like West Ham probably aren't going to beat us anyway. Because that Tottenham 1 Leeds 1 was disgraceful. 13 minutes. Are we taking the pick? Where did 13 minutes come from? Went up to 15 minutes, by the way. James Maddison came on in the 85th minute and got a 20-minute campaign. Work that one out if you can. This game means nothing to us. We're not going to get European football. We're not going to get relegated. I don't care where we are mid-table. It's going to be an embarrassment anyways. And also, it means we relegate Callum Wilson. We can't do that. I love Callum Wilson. You love Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson scores goals. We're not going to do that, are we, Newcastle? Don't be so thoughtless. On the other hand, Callum, if you do score, just don't celebrate. If you do, I won't love you. My God, that is tight. Tottenham just 2 points ahead of West Ham. Spurs have got Chelsea and Everton as well. I don't see them winning any of them games, by the way. West Ham, on the other hand, Newcastle and Leeds. Both teams have nothing to play for. Leeds, if you ever wanted to be a linked fan base, you've took points off Tottenham. Give them all 3 points. Give West Ham all 3 points. I'm begging you.
Begging. They are begging.
Shameless.
What do you mean
again.
begging?
Absolute shameless. These Newcastle fans are absolutely shameless. Shameless. That's the only word for them.
The only joy they can have this season is relegating Tottenham. Well, it's just... Why do they care
Surely
so
we
much?
can trust on our friends at Lee at Newcastle Fans TV. Surely he won't have this. They want Newcastle to win every game. Those guys are good guys. But these guys, what are they smoking down up at St James's Park? Seriously. What are they smoking?
It's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous.
Excuse me.
Apparently I can hear it. Okay.
I've also heard this narrative by West Ham fans saying the Premier League wants Spurs to stay up. The Premier League wants Spurs to stay up because the Premier League can't afford for Spurs to go down with the money that we bring and generate for the Premier League.
Of course.
Have you ever heard such nonsense before?
Have you seen the stats we're bringing up? Have you seen the refereeing? We just did a whole thread about how we're being screwed by the refs. What kind of... If they're going a shit way about it, if they're trying to keep us up. They're going a very weird way about it. How about let's never give them a penalty and send off all their players? I'll keep them up.
Yeah. They're saying, oh, but they got 13 minutes at the end of the Leeds game. They're just trying to keep Tottenham in the league. They're doing everything that they can to keep Tottenham in the league. I mean, these narratives just
13 minutes at home is probably bad for us. You know what I mean? Like, have you seen us play at home? Give 30 minutes away, maybe you have a point. Or at home, it's not an advantage, I can assure you. The
whole thing is just mental. It's just mental. So Newcastle, do us all a favour, win the game, shut these little fans up, and let's hope Spurs can stay in this division and we can send West Ham down.
Look, the reality is Eddie Howe ain't the fan base. He's going to go all out for the win. I'm sure of it. Come on, Eddie. I know you. I know what you're like. I know your mentality. You are not going to let this one slip you by. You still got the outside shot of Europe. I think you know it. We know it. You've got next season to think about. You need some momentum going into next season. So do us all a favour, Eddie, and get those 3 points.
And you can't be finishing below Sunderland in the league. Let's be
Exactly.
honest. That'll just be a pure embarrassment for Newcastle
Real
United.
embarrassment. Real embarrassment.
How could you finish below Sunderland?
They're newly promoted. Newly promoted Sunderland. Doesn't get more embarrassing than that. New rivals who've just come into the Premier League, you're going to finish below them when you've been in the Championship this season. Let's not talk about us. Just talk about you. You can't let that happen.
We believe in you, Newcastle. We believe.
Where are these? Where are the Sunderland fans? Where are the Mackhams? Where are they trying to pour some salt into the Newcastle wounds to get the motivation for the Newcastle fans? They're laughing at you. Sunderland are laughing at you. That's what they're doing. You can't allow this to happen. You can't allow this to stand.
Allow this to happen.
No.
This is it. This is your time, Newcastle. You can't let this embarrassment. This season has been too much of an embarrassment already. You can't let it be further embarrassment to finish below Sunderland. So Newcastle, we're relying on you this weekend. We believe in you this weekend, and you're going to get the job done this weekend. So come on, the Magpies. Magpies. Oh, God. Shameless, these people. But anyway, let's finish off. We're going to be reacting to some more of your comments from the last couple of days. So let's get into it.
Let's get into OSM 1044 says, I feel like part of the problem with Spurs is how fixated we are on another team. It's so toxic. I'd rather we just completely ignore them and focus on ourselves. No matter what happens to them, if they truly don't care about them, we should stop giving them fuel to laugh at us. Otherwise, we are just wasting energy and passion on things we can't control.
Yeah. It's true. There is definitely an element to it, but when we've been stung, the amount of times that we've been stung at Stamford Bridge, I said on the stream that we've won twice there in the Premier League era, but I was speaking to Brian this morning and he reminded me it's only been one time.
It's true.
We've only won once in the Premier League era at Stamford Bridge.
You know what's funny? Stamford Bridge, we've won one of our last 9. At the Tottenham Stadium, one of our last 10.
God.
Ridiculous.
So we've got a better record at Stamford Bridge than we do at N17.
Yeah.
Mental.
That's how bad it's been. You're right. We have just done a whole stream about other teams, but apart from that, I think you're probably right. We should like to focus on ourselves. The problem is
we're not good enough to focus on
right
ourselves.
now. We're not. We're just not. We've got no players. So it's not even our team we're focusing on. It's like our C team, B, D team. So let's just hope that Newcastle can do us a favour. But if not, if Newcastle win and we have to win, then we do have to focus on ourselves. You can't rely on Chelsea to do us any favours about not turning up. We're going to have to be good.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
Yeah. The reality. Look, the thing is, if we do our job, we'll stay up.
Exactly.
But can we trust ourselves to do our job?
Do you think any chance if West Ham draw, we actually win and do it?
I mean, there's a chance. There's a chance. Is that reality? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But we could do it.
Forest going there 1-3-1.
Yeah, it's true. Like Forest going there and us going there is two completely different things. I tell you what, this is the best chance that we've got to get a result at Stamford Bridge, probably since we won there. one of the best chances we've had in the whole Premier League era. So there's no time like the present. So let's go get the job done.
Ian5285 says, you mean you, Ben. You do it all the time. When we lose, it's the end of the world. And when we win, it's because we are world beaters. You never look at it objectively and who our opponents are. You just get carried away with the latest result like you always do.
What's that in response to?
I think that was in response to saying that we got carried away. We got carried away after the Villa game.
I say we because every single Spurs fan that I spoke to predicted wins. Everyone. I did not speak to one Spurs fan that said that we were not going to win that game. So we, as a collective, we as a fan base, got carried away.
Just take some personal responsibility, man. Take some personal responsibility.
But I do accept. I do accept that. Yeah, that does usually happen. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm a passionate Spurs fan.
He's run by. He feels his emotions.
Run by the emotions of the ups and downs of being a Spurs fan.
Football's an emotional sport. Sometimes you got to react to them. I think even Zerbi said when you lose a game, you don't see when the next win's coming from, and when you lose it, when you win a game, you don't see when the next loss is coming from, and that's just football. Terry Nutkin says, I remember Everton playing Man City, and if Everton beat them, it would give Liverpool the title. I didn't give a flying F about what Liverpool did. I wanted Everton to smash City.
Well, you must be a better man than all of us. You know what I mean? What can I say? What can I say?
Maybe Everton don't care about the rivalry as much as we do.
Yeah, I've seen your Merseyside derbies all sitting together, all kumbaya and all that. That ain't the North London derby.
There's been way more? Isn't there way more players? Isn't there way more players who've moved between Liverpool and Everton than Tottenham and Arsenal?
Jamie Carragher grew up an Everton fan. Apparently, he's got an Everton tattoo and all that. I don't know if that's true or not. And he's a Liverpool legend, and now he's a Liverpool fan. He literally went from Everton to Liverpool.
It wouldn't be anywhere near as hostile if Everton and Liverpool players swap teams than Tottenham and Arsenal.
So who's played for Liverpool and Everton? I know Abel Xavier.
I can't think off the top of my head. Who's played for anyone in the chat? Liverpool and Everton? Can't think off the top of my head. Actually, maybe not that many. I think there was a keeper. What was his name? Neville Southall, was he?
He didn't play for Liverpool.
Didn't play for Liverpool. Connor Cody? Okay, that's not a great example. Anyone else? Nick Barmby?
Nick Barmby did.
Nick Barmby. See, that wasn't a big thing, was it?
I don't know.
All right. Anyone else chat? We're going to move on.
Go on, move on.
Joanne McCudden says, chatter up here in Archie Gray's hometown is that he's not into Zerbi's plans. Got a bit of an ITK here. Bit of an in the know from Joanne.
I mean,
that's the chatter.
De Zerbi literally said that he could be a future captain of Spurs.
Doesn't matter what he said. It's what's happening behind closed doors in Archie Gray's hometown. They're getting the scoop.
I don't believe that.
No, you don't believe it?
I think Archie Gray's his plans.
Maybe Gray's been chatting to his friends back home saying, look, I don't think I'm into Zerbi's plans. And now it's circling around the town. Maybe he's chatting to his parents are relaying the information.
What this is that, Archie Gray played his first game, barely seen a minute since. So he's like, so the narrative is, he's not into Zerbi's plans. He will be into Zerbi's plans, but right now calls for experienced heads, and Archie Gray's not one of them.
I'm just saying that's what the chatter is in Archie Gray's hometown, if that's to be believed. Look, let us know if you come from where Archie Gray grows up and you're hearing things. Comment something in the comment section below. Let us know what's being said. Let us know what the sources are, and maybe we'll conclude in the next update.
All right.
Next up, OSM says, I'm not a Levy hater, but he was responsible for bringing in Frank and all our signings this summer. Remember Gibbs White and there's a situation. He played a huge part in getting us to where we are now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 100%.
Don't disagree with that at all.
100%. I can't agree more. Like I said yesterday, I do think that the situation would be different if Levy was still at the club. I think he would have pushed the button on Thomas Frank a lot earlier. However, that can't negate from the fact that the reason we are where we are and the reason Thomas Frank was our manager and blah, 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 he has a big say of where we are right now. So it's a bit of a give and take.
Exactly, and he can smirk all he wants, but he's a big part of the reason why we're here. So maybe he shouldn't smirk. Next up, so there is no switch, says this is about Maddison. He said he is not questioning their integrity, meaning the referees, in brackets, truthfulness and honesty. He's questioning their competence. Are they able to make big calls when necessary? To ban or fine him for this would show a gross incompetence by the PGMOL. So he's saying he's not questioning the integrity, he's questioning the competence. Two different things. So Maddison said they don't want to make the big calls. Is that integrity or is that competence? He's questioning.
Probably more. He's probably right. It probably is more competence. But I think if you're questioning the competence of the referees, you're still probably going to get a fine.
Well, you say that, but Rodri and Bernardo, I think, early in the season, made some statements about the ref, and I don't think they got banned.
Well, have we not just done a whole segment on how Spurs are treated differently to every
right.
other club? So
Not wrong.
I wouldn't be surprised, let's say, if Maddison does get punished for it.
Ying Fong says this is his solution to the VAR situation. He says each team in a game should have one VAR call should have one call for VAR eligible situations, e.g. foul inside the box, potential red cards, to have the ref and one of the third officials to come to the monitor, have a look for 30 seconds. 30 seconds plus 30 seconds minimum discussion. One call each team per game gives them a chance to call for a review. Ref plus one third official reduces the likelihood that the ref is scared to make the wrong call purely based from pressure of VAR. 30 seconds of monitor plus 30 seconds discussion gives a reasonable review and discussion time frame. VAR already set an expectation for a game longer, for a longer game to begin with, so we should use it effectively. This reduces dependency on VAR and reduces opinion from VAR is entirely corrupted. Notice that I used the word entirely. I like that solution.
This is like kind of his answer to the tennis challenges. You know, where a tennis player can use 3 challenges each set, can't he?
Yeah, exactly. But I also like the idea of VAR not making the call. You make a challenge and the referee goes to the monitor himself and sees it. And he's the one who's seen it in real time. He has the context of the situation. VAR, what I don't like a lot about VAR is they focus in on incidences regardless of context, or like someone off balance or whatever, something they don't have the context leading up, they just have the incident, and that's what's happened. And maybe it should be devoid of the context. I'm just saying I don't like that it is.
The thing is with that, I feel like in big games, like later on in games, you're going to have like teams challenging, like it's going to be make it so stop-start, isn't it?
Well, there's only one challenge.
Yeah, but he's saying one challenge for each different criteria.
One call for eligible situations, so one for a foul. So just 2 challenges essentially. One for either one challenge for a red card and one challenge for a penalty.
So, but that means if the ref has missed something and you've already made these challenges, then you're not going to get a decision.
Or then you made the wrong challenge. That's your fault.
But what if you've made the right challenge and there's more than?
Then you keep your challenge. I would. Well, he doesn't say that, but I think that would probably be, if you make a challenge and it's right, you keep your challenge.
Oh, that's different then. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be against that.
And I like that. I like it's the referee himself. He goes to the screen. He's not getting on his something in his ear. You got to check this. He has to check it himself to see. So he doesn't have anyone. He doesn't have the VAR saying, "Oh, you've made a mistake here." He has to decide himself whether he's made a mistake. It's his decision. So I like that a lot more than what we have now. Because right now they're
have a whole 30-second countdown clock on the screen, and everyone's going to be counting down.
Because right now the VAR are checking everything, every minuscule thing. They are re-refereeing the game. Whatever anyone wants to say about it, they're re-refereeing the game. They have unlimited amount of power in terms of what they can change and what they can affect. But here, it's limited. You have to make a decision whether you think there's mistakes being made. The referee himself has to decide whether he's made a mistake. No one else decides for him whether he's made a mistake. And yeah, I think that's a lot better, a lot fairer. I think that's I don't see any downside to it, really.
Yeah, it is a very kind of American, isn't it? It seems very Americanized.
Yeah, but what we have now is horrendous anyway.
It's true. Yeah, I agree.
BB5979 says, he's saying, if that was Romero talking about the penalty against Maddison, he says, if that was Romero, the commentator would have said he's not got enough of the ball and the rest would have given it even if he touched the ball.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. You're talking about the penalty.
The penalty that Maddison, yeah.
100%. If Romero made that challenge, he would probably been sent off, knowing the referees, but it definitely would have given him a penalty, that's for sure.
100%. They would have blown up immediately. And Nabs says, I remember Sim jokingly and sarcastically talking about limbs on the final day of the season for survival, and it's coming true.
He wasn't just talking about limbs, he was talking about
pitch invasion. Oh, no, we're invading that pitch if we stay up. Last minute goal. Maddison sticks in a free kick in the 90th minute. We're raiding that pitch. We're raiding that pitch.
God,
I mean, the limbs for Tell's goal were great.
Yeah.
And that was, 3 games to go. The limbs, if we do something at Stamford Bridge, the limbs are going to be epic.
And they will be.
So, you know what?
Villa Park was nuts.
It was a couple of months ago or a month ago. We're talking about, will there be limbs? Well, definitely.
There'll definitely be limbs, but I do think it's just more out of desperation, more out of, just relief than anything else. It's not like out of because you've achieved something.
Yeah, true. It's obviously, but we're going to have to be shameless.
We will be shameless. We're always shameless. Football fans are shameless. That's what they do.
All right, that's it.
All right, so that's your comments that we have reacted to. We've got just one quick super chat to react to. Oh, there was another one. But anyway, this is a members chat from Frabro saying, don't forget that Leeds is one of the informed teams in the league. 1 point is a good result. Come on, you Spurs. Would you say that 1 point was a good result?
I don't think it was a good result, but it wasn't the disaster that everyone probably pointed out. It's better than a disaster because if we would have lost, obviously that would have been horrendous. But the draw keeps us just slightly in the driving seat unless West Ham win.
Yeah, we just knew that if we would have won, it would have put us, just needing a point, isn't it?
It's true, but if we would have lost, a draw at Stamford Bridge doesn't do much for us. Whereas now, a draw still keeps us there.
Southeast Koi is saying the key moment that made our slow decline take a nosedive was Newcastle thrashing us in Kane's last season. We weren't perfect, but we're worse now.
I don't know if that was the key moment. When you thrashing us in... So, we're 6-1, 5-0 after 20 minutes, that game.
Yeah, when Lloris got taken off after 15 minutes.
I mean, I don't know if I'll point to that moment. You could point to the 4-1 home to Chelsea when we had 9 men as a defining moment. You could point to... I don't know, I mean... Maybe Conte losing his rag. Maybe that was a defining moment. I wouldn't say that one. That one was just a crazy... I don't know if that game...
The defining moment of this downfall was when Pochettino got sacked. That was the defining moment.
That was defining. You could sack that one as well.
That was the real start of the slide, wasn't it?
Do you think he'd still be manager if we hadn't sacked him?
How long ago did we sack him now?
A long time ago. 6 years?
He probably wouldn't still be manager. But, I mean, he would have got a rebuild. The amount of money that we've spent since Pochettino has left the club, if we would have got just Poch to have that money, you never know where we could be right now. But anyway, that's a story for another day. We'll see you all on Sunday, people. Hate along, 5:30 kickoff. Come and join us. It is going to be a nervy, a tense 90 minutes. It's not going to be
your Geordie shirts.
Yeah, exactly. Come in your barcodes, but it's not going to be as crazy as that. It's going to be crazy in a different way, but what hate along for Arsenal, West Ham, I never want to go through that again. To be fair, I don't want to ever go through what we're going to go through again, but it's going to be crazy for a different reason. At least we'll know what we want in this game. However misplaced our judgment was at the time. But look, we'll see you all there. Come and join us Sunday. We'll all hate along together. We'll all suffer together, and we'll all hopefully celebrate together. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.